Maureen Anyango. This report was laid on the table of the Senate on Wednesday, 31st May 2023. The chairperson of this committee is praying that the Senate adopts the report of the Standing Committee on Health on the inquiry of the death of the late Maureen, that is at Mama Lucy Kibaki Hospital, and it is alleged that it was due to medical negligence. The bell is still ringing. There's still no quorum for the Senate to begin its Thursday afternoon sitting. Yesterday is Thursday, it's 5th October 2023. As soon as we get quorum, the sitting of the Senate will begin. The Speaker, Honorable Amason Jeffa Kingi, is seated, and more senators are streaming into the Senate chamber. Let me take you to Order number 21. I have mentioned a little bit about it. It is about the death of the late Edward Otieno Onyango. It is alleged that there was medical negligence, and the chairperson of the committee is asking that the Senate adopts the report of the Standing Committee on Health on inquiry into the death of the late Onyango due to alleged medical negligence. The report was laid on the table of the Senate on Wednesday, 31st May 2023. There is another motion, and this motion is at order number 19. It's adoption of the report of the Standing Committee on Devolution and Intergovernmental Relations on the application for conferment of city status to the municipality of Eldoret. The chairperson, Standing Committee on Devolution and Intergovernmental Relations, is expected to drive this motion, and he says that the Senate adopts the report of the Standing Committee on Devolution and Intergovernmental Relations on the application of conferment of city status to Eldoret municipality. This report was laid on the table of the Senate on Wednesday, September 20th, 2023, and this is pursuant to Section 8(6) of the Urban Areas and Cities Act 2011. The Senate approves the conferment of city status to municipality of Eldoret. Like I had mentioned earlier, order number 18 is a bill, the County Hall of Fame bill, Senate Bills number 18 of 2023. The originator of this bill is Senator Miraj Abdullahi Abdul Rahman, nominated MP. The motion is at second reading stage. This afternoon, the Senate is expected to sit in the Committee of the Whole, and they have very many bills for Committee of the Whole. Back to the House.
Administration of oath. Order number 2, communication from the chair.
Honorable Senators, I'd like to acknowledge the presence in the Speaker's Gallery this afternoon, a visiting delegation from the National Assembly of Zambia. The delegation comprises members of staff who are undergoing a training program in the Center for Parliamentary Studies and Training, CPST. Honorable Senators, I request each member of the delegation to stand when called out so that they may be acknowledged in the Senate tradition. Mr. Tennyson Nyangu, Principal Clerk. Mr. Collins Ngozi, Deputy Principal Clerk, and Mr. Kabwibwi, Deputy Principal Clerk. On behalf of the Senate, and on my own behalf, I extend a warm welcome and wish you a fruitful visit. I will allow Senator for Kakamega Senator Boni, and 1 minute to extend brief welcome remarks to welcome the delegation.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the honor. And Mr. Speaker, I take this opportunity to warmly welcome the delegation of our visitors. I hope they are going to find their visit to the Senate fruitful. I urge them to visit all the corners of the Senate and, if possible, talk to the leadership of the House, leadership of committees, and they'll find it very invaluable when they go back home. I thank you.
Next order, clerk.
Order number 3, messages. Order number 4, petitions.
The Honorable Chairperson, Standing Committee on Labor and Social Welfare, to present a report on a petition that they had looked into. Do we have the Chairperson, Labor, or any other member from that committee to present the report? All right, they seem not ready. That is deferred. Clerk, call the next order, please. Next order, clerk.
Order number 5, papers.
The Chairperson's led Committee on Delegated Legislation. Can you proceed to lay your papers? The Chairperson or any member of that committee to proceed to lay the papers. That is deferred. Next order, clerk. The Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to lay the following paper on the table of this Senate today, 5th October 2023, being, Mr. Speaker, the annual report of the National Police Service Commission for the financial year 2022-2023. I thank you.
Next order, clerk.
Order number 6, notices of motion. Order number 7, questions and statements.
Statement pursuant to Standing Order 52-1, Honorable Senator Lominen. Can repower the microphone for Senator Lominen. Proceed, Senator.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise pursuant to Standing Order 52-1 to make a statement on a matter of countrywide and general topical concern, namely the disparity in service delivery to refugee community in Kakuma and Kalobeye camps and the Turkana community. Mr. Speaker, sir, Kakuma refugee camp comprising Kakuma 1, Kakuma 2, Kakuma 3, and 4, and the Kalobeye integrated settlement houses, a registered population of 196,666 refugees and asylum seekers of July 2020. While these camps have served as places of refuge for those fleeing conflict and persecution, have simultaneously presented unprecedented challenges, particularly for the Turkana community. Mr. Speaker, sir, despite concerted efforts by the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, partner agencies and county government, as well as political leaders in the development of Kalobeye Integrated Social Economic Development Program, which emphasizes 50-50 share of services between the host and refugee communities, discriminating against local in accessing services is still persistent. Mr. Speaker, sir, these services include scholarships and material support for vulnerable children. 2, health services where refugees receive preferential treatment. 3, gender-based violence and child protection. 4, training programs such as technical training and kitchen garden training, which are generally geared towards refugees. 5, access to clean water, whereby locals are denied access to water points and boreholes, which are often strategically located to primarily serve refugee communities. 6, job opportunities at UNHCR, where members of the Turkana communities are often viewed as unfit for corporate positions despite their substantial qualification and experiences. Mr. Speaker, sir, to ensure equitable access to services and promote harmonious coexistence, I call upon the Senate Standing Committee on Justice, Legal Affairs, and Human Rights to engage in national government on the following. First, Mr. Speaker, advocate for scholarship opportunities and material support to be allocated fairly between Turkana community and refugees students. 2, establishment of additional educational facilities such as schools and vocational training centers to accommodate the educational needs of both locals and refugee communities. 3, promotion of equitable access to health care and support initiatives that raise awareness of available health facilities and services. 4, Mr. Speaker, the respect for the cultural norms, beliefs, and tradition of Turkana community by refugee and UNHCR. 5, expansion of gender-based violence and child protection services to cover both Turkana and refugee community members. 6, strengthening security in and around Kakuma and Kalobeye refugee camps to curb terrorism and unlawful activities. 7, develop of livelihood programs tailored to the specific needs of the Turkana community, including technical training, agriculture support, and small-scale businesses opportunities, as well as facilitating partnership between the local community members and the relevant agencies to enhance economic opportunities and reduce dependency. 8, establish of additional water points and boreholes in areas that are heavily populated. 9, promotion of community-based programs that address the root causes of child and homelessness. 10, advocacy for job opportunity within the UNHCR and partner agencies to be accessible to both local and refugee community members based on qualification and experience. 11, community engagement initiatives that bring together local and refugee communities to address shared challenges and build mutual understanding and support the establishment of conflict resolution mechanisms that can effectively address disputes and tensions between the two communities. And finally, increase transparency in the allocation of resources and services to both local and refugee communities. Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, It is crucial that these issues are addressed conclusively, prioritizing the welfare and society of both refugees and the local community. Collaboration between the government authorities, the UNHCR, and relevant stakeholders is essential in finding sustainable solutions to these challenges and ensure the well-being of Turkana and refugee community and their generation to come. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Chirange.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Statement on the issue of general topical concern on the standing performance by our athletes at the World Road Running Championship in Riga, Latvia. Mr. Speaker, sir, I raise pursuant to Standing Order 52.1 to make a statement on an issue of general topical concern and national importance, namely standing performance by our athletes at the World Road Running Championship in Riga on Sunday this week. So, Speaker, sir, once again our athletes made us proud on Sunday last weekend when they topped the world medal table at the just concluded World Athletes Road Running Championship in Riga, Latvia. Our heroes and heroines braced the sunny and breezy conditions to sweep the podiums of both men and women's half marathons, thus winning the team gold medals. Winning also silver in the women's 5 kilometer and bronze in the men's 5 kilometer and bronze also in women's mile to become the top of the world in the championship. Mr. Speaker, sir, the gold hunt for Team Kenya was led by Sebastian Sawe and defending champion Peris Chepchirchir, who both clinched the half marathon titles, while Beatrice Chebet won the women's 5 kilometers race. Peres Chepchirchir led a Kenyan podium sweep with Margaret Chelimo finishing second and Catherine Relin finishing in third place. At the same time, the men also swept the podium, where Sawe led them, Sebastian, ahead of compatriots Daniel Simiyu Ebenyo and Samuel Nyamai Mailu, enabling them to claim this title for the 17th time, Mr. Speaker, sir. This was wonderful. Mr. Speaker, sir, although Faith Kipyegon was beaten for the first time this season, she managed to win bronze in the women's mile. She is a world record holder and several world title holders, and therefore becoming an inspiration to the upcoming athletes and sportsmen and women in general in trailblazing in athletics and the world. We must continue to celebrate Mr. Speaker, sir, and continue to call the leader of minority and leader of majority to process the appearance of both Faith Kipyegon and Eliud Kipchoge before this House to address the House, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, I wish to continue to request this Honorable House, for example, to set time for the world beaters. I've mentioned Faith Kipyegon, Ferdinand Umanyala, Eliud Kipchoge, among others, to visit and sometimes address the Senate for their greatest achievement that even go unnoticed sometimes. And I know their marathon, Mr. Speaker, is equated to political marathon, where we might learn a few lessons. Mr. Speaker, by doing this, our athletes and sportsmen and women who have continued to make us proud as a country at the international arena, by flying our flag high always, will feel appreciated and will be motivated to achieve even more for the nation. I wish to continue to call Ministry of Sports, Athletics Kenya, National Olympics Committee, NOC, and even the Special Olympic Committee to partner with the Ministry of Tourism and utilize the fame and good name that our sportsmen and women have gained in marketing our country as a tourist destination by making them brand Kenya ambassadors for Kenya, thus enabling them to have a decent rewards in return. So, Speaker, there is a soft underbelly in our sports of doping issues within both sports, men and women. I continue to call the DCI and other investigative agencies to punish the entire criminal enterprise that perpetuate doping substance against sportsmen and women and in some cases, allegations of fixing some of the athletes where it has created anxiety among athletes, Mr. Speaker. Because for the information of the House, as I conclude, you are supposed to be tested 3 times against doping substance before Olympics, and we have had cases of some athletes being fixed, Mr. Speaker. So, Speaker, finally, sir, I wish to congratulate our sportsmen and women athletes for the superb performance in Riga, Latvia, that they did us wonders, and wish them well, assuring our commitment as a House and Parliament and supporting them in championing for their welfare and at all times as they continue to raise the country's flag and represent our nation across various performances. I thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Statements pursuant to Standing Order 53.1. Honorable Newton. That statement is dropped. Honorable Senator Maruma.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity to raise this statement on the Part Development Plan, PDP of Voi Town in Taita Taveta County. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53.1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Lands, Environment and Natural Resources concerning the Part Development Plan of Voi Town in Taita Taveta County. In the statement, the committee should, 1, provide the map of Voi Town, giving a list of all public utility land and indicating their registration numbers. 2, present all the revised development plans of Voi Town from 1969 to date. 3, state whether there are any plans of revision and expansion of Voi Town and give the extent of expansion. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The statements by Senator for Bungoma, Senator David Fuller, is deferred to next week. Next is Senator for Marsabit, Senator Mohamed Chute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have 3 statements. I'll start with the one. Is a request for a statement on production and importation of cooking oil in Kenya. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53.1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Trade, Industrialization and Tourism regarding the production and importation of cooking oil in Kenya. In the statement, the committee should, 1, provide data regarding the volume of cooking oil produced annually in the country in relation to yearly consumption, disclosing the manufacturing companies involved in the production and average retail cost of oil. But 3, elaborate on whether any local loans were secured to facilitate the procurement of imported oil, and if so, indicate the percentage of the loan that has been settled thus far. The Speaker, statement number 2 is on request for a statement to alleged tax exemption to Kenya National Trading Corporation, KNTC Limited. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53.1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Finance.
Order, Senator Mundigi. Senator Mundigi, kindly take your seat and allow the senator to be heard in silence. Proceed, Senator Chute.
If you allow me, Mr. Speaker, I'll repeat. Request for a statement on allegation on alleged tax exemptions to the Kenya National Trading Corporation, KNTC Limited. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53.1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Finance and Budget regarding allegation of tax exemptions extended by the Kenya Revenue Authority in the to the Kenya National Trading Corporation Limited. In the statement, the committee should, 1, clarify whether KRA has extended tax exemptions to KNTC, and if so, explain the criteria applied on extending the exemptions and whether due procedure was followed. And 2, state the amount of funds KRA would have otherwise collected in taxes. Mr. Speaker, my third statement is on the demarcation of jurisdictional boundaries between Marsabit and Wajir counties. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on National Security, Defense and Foreign Relations regarding the demarcation of jurisdictional boundaries between the counties of Marsabit and Wajir. In the statement, the committee should A, provide precise maps for the counties of Marsabit and Wajir that clearly show the boundaries of Arbijahan, Molmol, Irreswachile, Baji, and Basir, and indicate respective counties under whose jurisdiction they fall. And B, outline the actions the government has taken, if any, to facilitate the conclusive demarcation of the boundaries of the sub-counties, addressing any contentions between the two counties concerning their boundaries. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Next, Senator Chirange.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Sir, I have 2 statements I hope I can read concurrently. Thank you for your indulgence. Request for statement on the status of pending bills in counties. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Finance and Budget on the status of pending bills in counties. In the statement, Mr. Speaker, sir, the committee should provide a comprehensive report on all pending bills per county, indicating the financial years the bills accrued and the steps the government is taking to facilitate the settlement of the bills. Number 2, Mr. Speaker, state the role of the controller of budget in expediting the settlement of all pending bills by county governments across the country. And finally, Mr. Speaker, sir, furnish the Senate with a list of all pending bills below Kenya shillings 5 million, indicating the counties that have not adhered to the directive on the prompt settlement of these obligations. Mr. Speaker, sir, with the indulgence, my second statement, so that I cede, request for statement on the closure of bank accounts of small businesses, SMEs, by Standard Chartered Bank. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Finance and Budget regarding the closure by the Standard Chartered Bank of bank accounts of small businesses that have less than 10 million cash flow per month. In the statement, the committee should, Mr. Speaker, sir, explain the basis for the closure of bank accounts of all small businesses by the Standard Chartered Bank, indicating the number of the accounts affected so far. Number 2, Mr. Speaker, sir, clarify whether the Central Bank of Kenya, CBK, played any role in the closure of the said bank accounts of small, medium enterprises. So, Speaker, sir, finally, outline the measures and strategies that the government has put in place to improve access to banking services for small businesses or small enterprises businesses in the country. Mr. Speaker, sir, I thank you.
Senator Hamida Kibwana. That statement is dropped. Senator Lominen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think the first statement I have read it severally, so I request to defer, and then we cancel. And then the second.
Senator Lominen, are you saying that you already requested for this statement from
yes,
that committee?
I've read it severally, and even the CS has answered it severally.
All right, we'll take it up with the Secretariat, why then it's found its way here. So proceed to present your two other statements.
Thank you, sir. I raised a statement of the request on the electricity transmission infrastructure in major towns within Turkana County. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Energy regarding the lack of adequate electricity transmission infrastructure concerning major towns within Turkana County to the national grid connection, despite the close proximity to electricity general plants. In a statement, the committee should, 1, explain why major towns within Turkana County, including Lodwar, Lokori, Kerio, Kalokol, Loktang, Kakuma, and Lokchogyo, lack adequate electricity transmission infrastructure to ensure access to reliable electricity, despite the close proximity to electricity generation plants such as Takwel Hydroelectric Power Station. 2, provide status update on ongoing and stalled rural electrification and renewable energy corporation (REREC) project within the county, outlining measures put in place to ensure the expedient revival where applicable and completion. And 3, state plans, if any, by the government to expand electricity transmission infrastructure in the country and connect the major towns to the national power grid. Second statement, Mr. Speaker, I say a statement, Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Land, Environment, and Natural Resources regarding compulsory acquisition of unregistered communal land belonging to Turkana community for the land, port, South Sudan, Ethiopia Transport Corridor, LAPSET project. In the statement, the committee should, 1, clarify whether the National Land Commission has engaged the county government of Turkana and the Turkana community on compulsory acquisition of land for LAPSET project, and if it is so, explain how the National Land Commission will resolve objections and concerns raised in the engagement. And 2, highlight policies and measures put in place to guide the compulsory land acquisition process to ensure that the rightful individuals are identified and fairly compensated. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Statements pursuant to Standing Order 57-1. The Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise to make a statement on behalf of the Leader of the Majority on the business of this Senate for the week commencing Tuesday, 10th October 2023, pursuant to Standing Order number 57-1. Mr. Speaker, sir, pursuant to this standing order, I hereby present the business of the Senate. Before I proceed with the statement, I take this opportunity to welcome honorable senators back to Nairobi after the exciting Senate Mashinani Week in Turkana County. I want to believe that we have had some time to reflect on the experiences of our stay in Turkana County and will undoubtedly put in place legislative measures to ensure that devolution works not only in Turkana, but kokote mashinani, quote unquote. Mr. Speaker, sir, as indicated in today's order paper, we have 7 bills at the Committee of the Whole. The bills are listed in orders number 9 through to number 15. The prompt consideration of these bills will be a great milestone in our work as a Senate. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, I urge respective movers and committee chairpersons who have filed amendments to these bills to be available in the House to prosecute them. In terms of the legislative business that are pending consideration in the Senate, there are a total of 21 bills at the second reading stage, including those that have been scheduled in today's order paper. At orders number 8, 16, 17, and 18. I urge respective movers of these bills to be available in the House when the orders will be called out. 28 motions are pending conclusion, while the number of petitions that are due for reporting by respective standing committees still stands at a whopping 18. Additionally, 206 statements under standing orders number 51, 52.1, and 53.1 are pending conclusion by relevant standing committees, while 17 questions are pending, 9 of which have been scheduled for response by the respective cabinet secretaries on the 11th of October 2023 on Wednesday. Let me take this opportunity to commend all honorable senators for work done and every effort made to dispense the business both at the committee and plenary sittings. However, we need to put more effort as our in-tray of legislative business, as highlighted above, is ever increasing. Mr. Speaker, sir, at its meeting held on Tuesday, 3rd October 2023, the Senate Business Committee approved the next set of questions to be scheduled in the order paper on the 11th of October 2023 on Wednesday. The set of questions included those that had earlier been deferred due to the non-appearance of the relevant cabinet secretaries. The summary of the questions are as follows. 1. Question number 11 to the Cabinet Secretary for Interior and National Administration, by Senator John Kinyua Nderitu, MP, on the state of security in Laikipia County and the wider North Rift region. 2. Question 12 to the Cabinet Secretary for Interior and National Administration by Senator John Kinyua Nderitu, MP, on curbing of rampant abuse of ketamine. 3. Question number 25 to the Cabinet Secretary for Interior and National Administration by Senator Mohammed Said Chute, MP, on the recruitment and deployment of chiefs and assistant chiefs. 4. Question number 26 to the Cabinet Secretary for Interior and National Administration by Senator Mohammed Said Chute, MP, on the delay in recruitment of NPRs in the wider northern frontier counties. 5. Question 32 to the Cabinet Secretary for Interior and National Administration by Senator James Morango, MP, on kidnappings along Makutano-Sagana Highway in Kirinyaga County. 6. Question number 45 to the Cabinet Secretary for Interior and National Administration by Senator James Lomenen, MP, on the security situation in West Pokot and Turkana counties. 7. Question number 51 to the Cabinet Secretary for Youth Affairs, Sports and the Arts by Senator Said Chute Mohammed, MP, on the status of the construction of Marsabit Stadium. 7. Question number 53 to the Cabinet Secretary for the Youth Affairs, Sports and the Arts by Senator Samson Cherargei, MP, on Team Kenya's participation in the World Athletics Championship in Budapest. And finally, question number 54 to the Cabinet Secretary for Interior and National Administration by Senator Mohammed Said Chute, MP, on the counter-terrorism efforts put in place by the government. Honorable Senators, as earlier indicated by my office, together with that of the Senate leadership in general, will continue to work with the executive to ensure that questions are responded to when scheduled. The concerns of honorable senators on this matter are appreciated, and I encourage honorable senators to use this tool to bring the executive to account. Mr. Speaker, sir, finally, as honorable senators may be aware, October 10th is a national holiday. The Senate Business Committee has therefore not scheduled any business for that day. Regular sittings will resume, therefore, on Wednesday, October 11th, 2023, and I take this opportunity to wish all of you a fruitful visit to your counties and a happy Huduma Day. Mr. Speaker, sir, I hereby lay the statement on the table, and I thank you.
Next order, clerk. I can see from my dashboard that Senator Mundigi, what is your intervention?
Bwana Spika, naomba hoja ifuatayo katika kipengele 37(1). Bwana Spika, naomba hoja ifuatayo ya kwamba kikao cha Seneti kiahirishwe kwa mujibu wa kanuni za kudumu za Seneti kipengele cha 37(1) ili kujadili swala mahususi la dharura na muhimu kwa taifa kuhusu ukosefu wa usalama katika nchi yetu, hasa mji wa Sondu na katika kaunti ya Turkana. Bwana Spika.
Now, honorable senators, pursuant to Standing Order 37(5), indeed, the requisite threshold has been met, and therefore I do direct that this motion be moved at 5:30 p.m. today. Next order, clerk.
Order number 8, the County Government's Additional Allocations Bill, National Assembly Bills number 23 of 2023, second reading.
Now, what is the point of order, Senator Eddy? And just to caution you, a senator can only rise on a point of order if another senator is.
Clarification then.
Proceed to seek a clarification.
Mr. Speaker, I just want to seek your indulgence that given that the adjournment motion that has just been moved by my brother, Senator Mundigi, consolidates two important issues. Initially, I'd put forward an adjournment motion for Sondu, security issues in Sondu, and he had put one for Turkana. Would it be in order to plead that perhaps the adjournment starts at 5 p.m. so that we just get 30 more minutes to be able to vent on the two issues more in depth. And seeing that all senators were standing up, it seems that people would want to contribute on these motions. Just a humble request to you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Eddy, if you look at the order paper of the day, it's pretty heavy. However, I'm aware that we have 7 bills that have moved to the level of the Committee of the Whole. And looking around, I do not see the requisite quorum to prosecute those bills at the Committee of the Whole. I'm therefore persuaded to accede to the request by Senator Eddy that the House, instead of adjourning at 5:30, it adjourns at 5 to allow the motion be moved. Now, before interruption of debate, yesterday, Senator Wambua had the floor and had a balance of 11 minutes. So kindly proceed, Senator Wombo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Yes, indeed, it is true that yesterday I was contributing to the additional allocations bill before time lapsed, so I have those 10 or 11 minutes. Mr. Speaker, I want to continue my contribution in support of the bill, but as I said yesterday, Mr. Speaker, there is need for a cleanup of this bill. As I mentioned, the Speaker, and I want to emphasize that we must get to a point as a House and draw the line in the sand. The Speaker, we cannot have these 5 counties that continue to receive allocations for the construction of county headquarters since 2013. Now, 10 years down the line, we are still allocating money for the construction of the same county headquarters in Isiolo, in Lamu, in Nyandarua, in Tharaka-Nithi, and in Tana River. As Speaker, cumulatively, there is a lot of money that has been set aside for that, totaling to 454 million Kenya shillings. That matter, Mr. Speaker, needs to be looked into so that in the next year, when we are dealing with the additional allocations bill, then we don't see that item listed there. Mr. Speaker, the other matter that I am very, very concerned about is the matter of all that is found in the first schedule, is the matter of the allocations for the listing of medical equipment. Mr. Speaker, I mentioned at the tail end of my contribution yesterday that perhaps, Mr. Speaker, a time has come that either the Committee of Health, on its own motion, decides to do a proper audit of this leasing program, or then it would be necessary to set up another special committee. Because when you look at that table, there's an allocation of 124,723,404 cents to every county. It's an equal allocation to every county for servicing of the leased medical equipment. As Speaker, it is clear, and all of us know because we come from counties, that first of all, not all counties receive the same equipment, so they cannot be paying the same amount of money for different equipment. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, there are counties today that, yes, they have those equipment, but they cannot utilize them because there is no connection to power, there is no connection to water, and there is also a case where that equipment is still lying in the source market where the manufacturers are. So, Speaker, the Health Committee, on its own motion, should look into that matter. If they cannot, for whatever reason, then this House needs to form a special committee to look into that matter. So, Speaker, my last contribution will be on the fourth schedule. No, the second schedule, Mr. Speaker. This second schedule, Mr. Speaker, on allocations for court fines and mineral royalties. It's a bit confusing to me. Because there are a number of counties there, and I want to mention Bomet, Bungoma, Busia, and Egel Marakwet, that they have no conditional allocations either for court fines or for mineral royalties. A clear reading of that then would indicate that there are no courts in those areas, and there are no minerals, or the courts never collect any fines in those areas. So, Mr. Speaker, this table is a bit, this schedule is a bit confusing. There will be need for a relook at that. Speaker.
What is your point of, Senator Wambua? Would you wish to be informed by Senator Chimera?
He can. He's a young man. He can inform me.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just wanted to inform Senator Wambua that the reason why we have courts in these counties does not mean the citizens of that county actually have to go to court. It could be a law-abiding citizens in those counties. That's why you have counties that don't have allocations from court fines. Like even Kwale, we are law-abiding citizens in Kwale, so we don't even have to benefit from anything from the court fines, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Senator Wambua, proceed.
Let me proceed, Mr.
Find
Speaker.
that information useful?
It clearly is not very useful, but but it is information anyway. So, Mr. Speaker, there will be need to relook at that schedule. You go to a county like Kiambu, and the Senator of Kiambu is not here. They have an allocation for court fines of 5 million and an allocation for mineral royalties of 10 million. Now, you go to places where we thought there's serious mining taking place there, and you find that there are no allocations. Like in Nyamira, I thought Nyamira was actually the home of soapstone. But there is no allocation at all on the matter of mineral royalties. So, Mr. Speaker, the whole of the second schedule, I do propose that is relooked. And lastly, Mr. Speaker, is on the matter of this, the wording of the bill. Mr. Speaker, I mentioned yesterday and want to emphasize that to the extent that we continue to hold the view that the national government can allocate funds to county governments, to that extent, Mr. Speaker, then we may never be able to really talk about a separation of roles and functions between the national government and the county governments. As Speaker, I take a great exception to any reference made in this bill on national government revenue being allocated to county governments. Because then the real situation, the Speaker, would be if national government revenues are being allocated to county governments, then we are talking about transfer of services. We are saying that this is a function that is supposed to be done by the national government. This is the amount of money that has been allocated to it in the budget. Then that function and the funds can be reallocated to the county governments. But if the reference is to money from the treasury going to the county governments and the national government, then that distinction, Mr. Speaker, must be made very, very clear. And lastly, Mr. Speaker, even as I support the allocations bill, I would want also to remind ourselves, Mr. Speaker, that very soon we should have a serious engagement on that separation of roles between the Ministry of Finance and the Treasury, so that the Treasury performs the functions of allocating revenue to both levels of government. Mr. Speaker, with those remarks and those proposed amendments, I support.
Senator Chimera.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to contribute to this very important bill, being the County Government's Additional Allocations Bill 2023. Mr. Speaker, I must say it is a beautiful moment to be alive today and to be in the Senate, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, from the wording and the drafting of this bill, this is indeed music to the ears of many counties. From this bill, Mr. Speaker, our governors all over the country have no reason whatsoever not to complete their projects, Mr. Speaker, and not to pay the many young men and women who form the bulk of many suppliers and contractors in our counties. And as such, Mr. Speaker, I dare say that I support this particular bill. Mr. Speaker, allow me to briefly speak to Section 8 of the said bill, Mr. Speaker. For the first time, Mr. Speaker, we have a bill that speaks on the need of reporting and ensuring that our county governments comply with the reporting needs. Mr. Speaker, I sat here yesterday and listened to my colleague, Senator Aaron Cheriot, and he spoke so ably on the need as to why governors should actually be able to report on all they receive as allocations vis-a-vis the county expenditure, Mr. Speaker. This has never happened for so long, Mr. Speaker. And Senator Aaron was very clear and actually told us that indeed governors are more concerned on reporting the recurrent expenditure and not reporting on the development expenditure, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, as a Senate, I really look forward towards the day we'll be able to interact with the control of budget to tell us indeed how the reporting is done. And the bill is very clear from Section 8, Mr. Speaker, that counties have been given an idea to actually report to us their actual expenditure against the actual allocation, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, counties like Kwale, from the fourth schedule and the second schedule, Mr. Speaker, of this bill, I can see that my county has been given about 100 million shillings to engage in many fisheries projects, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the county of Lamu, the county of Mombasa, the county of Kwale, to a large extent, are known fishing counties, Mr. Speaker. We have very many fishermen all the way from Ngombeni to Vanga, to Shimoni, and to Msambweni in Kisite. And these fishermen for so long have been engaging in what I call traditional fishing methods. Mr. Speaker, now we have funds going to our counties to ensure that the fisherman from Kwale County, after these funds are received by the county government, is able to engage in modern fishing. And these funds, I am happy to see that they'll actually go towards ensuring that we acquire modern fishing gear so that our fishermen can engage in meaningful fishing, so that we are able to realize the true potential of what we call the blue economy, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I also notice the fourth schedule gives allocations to counties on the royalties fund, Mr. Speaker. Again, I see Kwale County has been given about 1.1 billion shillings, Mr. Speaker, to be able to roll out projects from that particular county, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, you notice that as a county, we've had this company called Base Titanium mining and minerals in Kwale for far too long. But there was no legal framework, there was no law establishing the royalties fund. And I'm happy to see that the current CS for mining, who is, by the way, my former Governor Emeritus Salim Mvurya, has moved with speed to make sure that this law is in place and that counties, not Kwale alone, but counties which are actively involved in mining have a share to this fund, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, for the first time, the people of Mavumbu Ward in Kwale have proposed the upgrade of the Mariakani, Mavirivirini, Mavumbu Road, Mr. Speaker, to bitumen standards. For the first time since independence, they've never seen tarmac in Kwale, Mr. Speaker. And I'm happy that these funds are going there to enable the governor and the people that are in charge of these funds in these counties to roll out projects that are truly impactful to the local Wananchi, Mr. Speaker. And for the first time, we are seeing that truly devolution is alive, and that with such bills, Mr. Speaker, we're able to breathe more life to our project, Mr. Speaker. I just want to urge the government, Mr. Speaker, to ensure there is effective and prudential use of this one, Mr. Speaker. So that as a Senate here, we just don't sit here in vain by passing resources, allocating the same resources to them, and then they end up squandering the same funds and pilfering these funds, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, with those many remarks, I wish to support this particular bill, and I am in true support of the same. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Murango.
Asante sana mstahiki Spika. Mstahiki Spika, nilikuwa naangalia hili jarida hapa na nikaona ya kwamba Kirinyaga iko pia na shilingi 100. Shilingi 100. Sio bilioni bwana. Shilingi 100 ambayo imepe.
Stop engaging your colleagues. Just proceed to make your contribution.
Na sasa Spika, ndio nilikuwa ningependa kupendekeza kwa sababu kuna wale ambao wanaratibu mgao ambao unapewa county kwa sababu ya madini ama kwa sababu ya zile bidhaa zinatokana na mahali pale. Pia tunaweza kujua kama ni hii shilingi 100 imepewa Kirinyaga imetokana na madini gani. Kwa sababu wakati mwingine shilingi 100, hata jarida nilo nalo hapa ni gari kushinda shilingi 100. Haina haja ya kuratibu shilingi 100 za kupatia kaunti nzima, kwa sababu mimi naamini ya kwamba kuna hesabu ambayo mpaka iangaliwe kama iko sawa. Mimi mwenyewe kama mkazi wa Kirinyaga najua kwamba eneo chini la Mwea ni eneo muhimu sana. Sana sana katika uchimbaji wa maram na malighafi mengi ya kutengeneza barabara. Na kwa hivyo kupata shilingi 100 pia ingekuwa ni mshtuko kidogo. Nikimalizia mstahiki Spika, pia wakati mgao unafanywa pia tungeomba kama watu wa Kenya, kwa sababu mimi naunga mkono wakati mambo kama haya yanaletwa katika bunge ya Seneti. Lakini wakati pia tunafika kugawana pesa kama ni zile za maktaba, kila wakati utapata kama Kirinyaga hatugawiwi kwa sababu hatuna maktaba. Kwa hivyo nikiulizia naambiwa pesa zinagawanywa kwa wale ambao wako na maktaba, lakini sisi hatuna maktaba, hatupewi. Lakini tukienda kugawa pesa ya zile county zingine zimeachwa nyuma, zinapewa wale ambao hawana vitu ambazo tuko navyo. Kwa hivyo lazima tuchukue msingi mmoja, kama ni watu hawana wapewe, na kama ni watu wako nayo pia wapewe. Kwa sababu naona katika mambo ya maambara kidogo Kirinyaga tunambaguliwa, kwa sababu mpaka sahi sisi ndio county zile among zile 23 ambazo hawana maambara, na kwa hivyo hiyo nitaenda kuangalia. Asante sana mstahiki Speaker.
Senator Mundigi.
Bwana Speaker, naunga mkono kwa zile pesa inapeanwa, lakini kuna shinda katika hii allocation ya mineral. Embu County impatiwa shilingi 2,142. Saa ingine wale ile mambo inafanywa na watu unashindwa huwa anaangalia kitu gani. Kwa sababu kupatia county ya Embu kwa sababu ya mineral ati shilingi 2,000 ni kitu ni kama kutukana county ya Embu. Na saa hiyo tunajua stima inatoka Embu County na inaenda pale ingine, na unakuta ile pesa tunaweza kupatiwa njia ya stima ni pesa kidogo sana. Ni sawa tumepatiwa milioni 100 ile tumeongezewa, lakini pia ni vizuri, lakini mpaka wale watu wako kwa hii mambo ya kupatia county pesa wakiangalia pia UN itakuwa kati ile mwingine itakuwa ni kura moja kwa shilingi moja. Kwa sababu tumeona county nyingi kwa pesa sote kama Embu County itakuwa sasa iko na shilingi bilioni 6, na ile mahitaji tuko nayo ya kufanya kazi, mambo ya elimu, mambo ya agriculture, mambo ya kilimo, mambo ya afya, mambo mingi, hii pesa haitoshi. Na unaona county zingine imepatiwa bilioni 15, 16, lakini wakati umetembea pale itakuwa ni shinda, ni kama pesa imeporwa kwa kipindi ya miaka 10. Watu wengine wako na 200 billion na hakuna kitu wamefanya. Kwa hiyo naomba wakati ule mwingine itakuwa mimi nitaunga mkono, itakuwa ni one man one shillings. Asante Bwana Speaker.
Now, honorable senators, there being no other senator wishing to contribute, I will call upon the mover to reply.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir, with your indulgence, please allow me before I respond on behalf of the people of Kakamega, specifically the people of Shinyalu constituency, Ireho village, to thank His Excellency the President. He has now made history for our community by appointing Fred Matuanga as Kenya's High Commissioner in Italy. We shall pray for the President on Sunday because he's picking the High Commission of Kenya to go to Italy, a place where Catholics, when they came to Western, they settled in a place called Mukumu in 1905. We are very grateful, and we really feel like we are true shareholders in this government. Mr. Speaker, sir, coming back to the substance on the floor of the House, honorable members have been united, Mr. Speaker, in one thing. They have, Mr. Speaker, supported this motion. Mr. Speaker, just allow me to switch off the phone. I forgot to switch it off. Thank you.
Senator,
Mr. Speaker.
Okay, proceed. Is your phone off?
Yes, I've switched
it off. The first
it
thing is not to come with it to the plenary. Proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I stand guided. Mr. Speaker, sir, all the senators who contributed have agreed on one thing, that this is a very important bill. But because of who the Speaker is today, allow me to remind members that this is a bill which is coming at a time when our Right Honorable Speaker is regretting that he's no longer the governor. Because when they were governors, this bill was never passed in this House in this manner, and therefore this kind of money was never available in his office for him to cause development for his people. So I once again want to thank the President for not only releasing all the money owed to county governments, and also releasing money timelessly before the 15th of every month, but also allowing us, as the leadership of this House, to lead this House in unlocking a whopping 53 billion shillings to go to our counties. With maximum respect, it is now time for us to enjoy benefit of on-site members. You remember when we were at each other's throats because of the shareable revenue when we passed 385. Now, whereas governors wanted 425, add what we have brought, the money has now ballooned to 400. Go to Mudare, go to Kawangware, go to name it. The people there are living. The poverty index is good for Nairobi, but when you look at how people live in these other areas in Nairobi, you realize that Nairobi actually deserves slightly more money than what we have been giving it hitherto. The second comment which I want to clarify, as raised by Senator Wambua even today, is on the issue of the specialized medical equipment. Honorable members, the reason why county governments are paying the national government devolved funds, it is because the procurement of this special medical equipment was done by the national government wrongly at that time in 2015. Ideally, procurement should have been done by county governments so that this money, which is conditional money from the World Bank, meant to go and address the issue of health, could then be given to governors the way we are doing, and then they pay. But because it is the national government which procured, that is how the money is finding its way back to the national government. The third issue which arose is the issue of fertilizer. Colleagues, let us be analyzing these bills. If you look at this column, the people at the National Treasury don't seem to be working at all. Because in giving out money, for example, for fertilizer subsidy, they have given Nairobi for fertilizer 14.7 million shillings. Where do you want to spend 14.7 million shillings on fertilizer in Nairobi? Do they grow rice? Do they grow sugarcane? Why not take that money to Kirinyaga? Why not take that money to Embu, even if you don't like Kakamega? Why not take it to Bungoma? You take the money to Nairobi for fertilizer? Really? People at the Treasury? We have to face these guys in the eye and tell them, if they don't know, we are going to move on the floor of this house so that they are sacked. We put there young people from the University of Nairobi who can analyze, and other universities who can analyze figures and put money where it is merited. The fourth point was on the issue of court refunds. If you look at that column on court refunds, you will realize that there's an anomaly. And for you to understand, the money that is going back for courts is because that money does not go to the consolidated fund. And because it doesn't go to the consolidated fund, the little fines they do in your place, then for breach of the bylaws, then that money is supposed to be taken back. So a place like Mombasa, where a lot of money is seen to be going, it is because they have a lot of those kind of active court processes, and therefore they have a higher figure entitlement. The fifth point, which was raised and again raised by Senator Wambua, is the issue of county headquarters. Members, we who sit in the Finance Committee, we are properly seized of this matter. The reason why there has been this very long delay, it is because of the implementation process. The implementation of county headquarters was such that 1 year they would say the money will be released to the governor. When the governor wants to do it, they refuse. They say no, the implementation must be by the ministry and so on. So the throwback has resulted in this delay, and we must thank the first Senate, which in 2015 identified these deserving cases. Finally, but not least, the issue of royalties. This is theft. How would you give Vihiga 0? How? How can you sit and decide that Kirinyaga should be given 100 shillings? The fact that you are giving them 100 shillings, it means that you are admitting that there is mining taking place there. And if mining is taking place there, enough for you to notice it, then surely their royalty of 20% cannot be 100 bob. This is careless, open stealing of public funds. Let me, Mr. Speaker, give you the example of Kakamega. And this is fact. I come from the gold mining constituency of Shinyalu, Ikolomani, and Lurambi. Every week, Mr. Speaker, we mine and sell 10 kilograms of gold every Friday. And You compute this at the cost at which we sell gold worth 72 million shillings every Friday, Mr. Speaker. And with this, if you multiply it, just simple arithmetic, we sell, Mr. Speaker, in a year, 777.6 million shillings worth of gold. And when they calculate, Mr. Speaker, they tell us that our 20% is that, sorry, I got you wrong. We sell 72 million shillings of gold every Friday, which translates, Mr. Speaker, to 3.68 billion shillings per year. 3.68 billion shillings per year. And 20% of that money is 777.6 million, which they should have paid us. And Mr. Speaker, you know what they paid us? Here, from this treasury here. They paid us 16,554. This applies to Siaya, where they do gold in game. This applies to Migori, where they do gold in Nyatige. And it applies even in your home, Mr. Speaker, in Kilifi, in Kwale. So people in treasury are just sitting, sharing money meant for royalties. I know of certain people who are in positions of leadership in this country, and please, I beg you, don't ask me to substantiate. You go in the areas where they are leading, there are so many projects they are doing beyond shareable revenue. Because these people used to work high up in government, they know how this money is loaded. So they go to National Treasury, they tell them, add me here, and they're doing projects. And they look like they are real performers when it is theft of money from a Kolomani, from Shinyalu, from Lurambi, from Vihiga, from Nyatige, Mr. Speaker, from Game in Siaya. This house being a house of equity, this is the speech. We must stop that stealing so that this money can reach our people.
Mr. Speaker, order, Senator Eddie.
Nyatige.
Mr. Speaker, you know, I'm raising another point of order, number 105. Mr. Speaker, on the issue of statement of facts. Mr. Speaker, the senator for Kakamega has raised a very important issue. Mr. Speaker, yesterday I was actually with 6 senators from this house in Migori County, a place he has just quoted called Nyatike, where in Osiri Matanda alone, we are selling gold worth 33 million every day. Yes. And Mr. Speaker, the Senator of Kakamega has claimed that there are people in the treasury who are eating associated royalties that are supposed to go to these communities. And then he goes ahead to tell this house, Mr. Speaker, that we cannot force him or ask him or even request him, Mr. Speaker, to substantiate this, Mr. Speaker. People who have taken millions of money from Mr. Speaker, from poor communities, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, can the majority whip even into us who these people are? In fact, Mr. Speaker, if it was possible, I would request that you direct him, Mr. Speaker, that perhaps he tables the names of these people in this house, Mr. Speaker. We must discuss these people. My people in Migori are suffering, and they don't get value of what they have been mining, Mr. Speaker. I'm surprised that the bullfighter can start cowing to these cartels, to people who are stealing from the poor, Mr. Speaker. He must be bold enough, and I want to wish him the courage. These are not putting you on the spot, leader. I'm wishing you the courage. Name these people. Let us nail them in this country, and let us deal with them. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Boni, you are obligated under standing orders. That is not a request from Senator Eddie. it is an obligation under our own standing orders that if you allege certain facts, you should be in a position to substantiate. In the event that you're unable to substantiate now, you may seek time within which to substantiate. If that option is not available to you, that even if you're given more time, you'll not be able to substantiate, then you may have to move to withdraw those allegations. What say you, Senator?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm properly guided, but the way I read the standing orders is that pressure arises, Mr. Speaker, if you mention somebody adversely, or mention the name of somebody who cannot defend himself on the floor of the House.
Senator Boni,
yes.
Let us not teach ourselves these standing orders. We know them. You have given certain facts which have not been substantiated. You have alleged that at the Treasury, this kind of thing happens, and it is happening with the aid of certain leaders. In fact, you said very senior leaders in this country. So kindly proceed to name these people. If you're unable to do that, kindly proceed to retract that statement.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I have a history. I have a history in this country. I have dealt with those mandarins at Treasury. In fact, the country sometimes remembers me for the work I have done in that Treasury. Mr. Speaker, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous that somebody can sit and award a county 100 shillings. Even if this House wanted me to tell them, that should make you angry enough. Mr. Speaker,
allow the senator to make his. But ultimately, Senator Boni, ultimately, you'll have to do two things: substantiate or withdraw. Proceed.
Mr. Speaker, my mind is pushing me to speak. But I am a responsible state officer. A state officer who understands the principle of collective responsibility. Let me tell you, I would look the most stupid state officer to fail to use the other channels open to me, Mr. Speaker, to pursue this matter, and instead then make pronouncements here as if I don't. So for that reason, Mr.
Honorable Boni, Honorable Senator, in that case then, kindly proceed to withdraw and use the other channels to pursue this matter.
Mr. Speaker, I am properly guided. My younger brother, in fact, my kid brother, Moses Kajwang, who I campaigned for in Kindu Bay, in Homa Bay, in Diwa, when your brother, who was almost my age mate, who used to sit there, had died. You would love for me to draw blood. I withdraw, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I will be ripe. And the lawyers have got something called an issue being ripe. When the time will be ripe, I will walk, I will dance, and I will sing with these names until corruption comes to an end in this house. And I have had the privilege of leading some of the offices where I've had the opportunity to partake of proceeds of corruption. But I've refused. I've seen people who have been in that office for 6 months end up buying property in Karen and living there. I've refused. I still live in my home, Horo. Mr. Speaker, I withdraw for now. And Mr. Speaker, having withdrawn,
I think the Honourable Senator has withdrawn that statement. Allow him to
Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to apologize
What
for
is
the
your
way
point of order, Senator Kajwang?
Mr. Speaker, from the foregoing deliberations, will I be in order to describe the bullfighter of Kakamega as a coward of Kakamega?
Senator Kajwang, you're totally out of order. First, under standing orders, you should refer to your colleagues as honorable senators. As far as the House is concerned, we don't have bullfighters, we don't have fighters at all. So I overrule your point of order. Kindly, Senator Boni, proceed to conclude.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sometimes in this House, it helps to have interventions like the one from Moses Kajwang, Senator. Of course, he doesn't mean that I'm a coward. He's just using it to cajole me to ensure that I come out and say these things. So Kajwang, thanks for the compliment. We'll be doing our fish at Kendu Bay the usual way. Mr. Speaker, with those many remarks, I respond and request, with your permission, sir, that understanding order number 66(3), you allow this motion to come for division, not for division, yes, for division at the proper time, at a later time, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Very well. I shall postpone the putting of the question on that particular motion to a date later in the course of next week. Next order, Clerk.
Order number 9, Committee of the Whole, the Learners with Disabilities Bill, Senate Bills number 4 of 2023.
That statement is deferred. Next.
Order number 10, Committee of the Whole, the Equalization Fund Administration Bill, Senate Bills number 14 of 2023.
That statement is deferred. Next.
Order number 11, Committee of the Whole, the County Licensing Uniform Procedure Bill, Senate Bills number 9 of 2022.
The order is deferred. Next.
Order number 12, Committee of the Whole, the Agricultural and Livestock Extension Services Bill, Senate Bills number 12 of 2022.
The statement is deferred. Next order.
Order number 13, Committee of the Whole, the Mung Beans Bill, Senate Bills number 13 of 2022.
That statement, that order is deferred. Next order, please.
Order number 14, Committee of the Whole, the Startup Bill, Senate Bills number 14 of 2022.
That order is also deferred. Next order.
Order number 15, Committee of the Whole, the Persons with Disabilities Bill, Senate Bills number 7 of 2023.
That order is deferred. Next order.
Order number 16, the County Boundaries Bill, Senate Bills number 6 of 2023, second reading.
The Honorable Senator Moses Kajwang. Absolutely, absolutely. That order is deferred. Next order. Now, Honorable Senators, at this point I'd wish to reorganize the sequence of today's order paper. And instead of prosecuting order number 17, we proceed to handle order 19. Thereafter, we will resume the usual sequence of today's order paper. So, Clerk, kindly proceed to call the order paper as amended. Do we have any member of the Standing Committee on Devolution and Intergovernmental Relations? Call the order, clerk.
Order number 19, motion, adoption of the report of the Standing Committee on Devolution and Intergovernmental Relations on the application for conferment of city status to the municipality of Eldoret.
Honorable Senator Nyonka.
Mr. Speaker, I hope you will accept my apologies because I had in the SIPA committee since 8 o'clock and I hadn't even had a glass of water. Mr. Speaker, by a letter dated 29th May 2023, the Clerk of the County Assembly of Uasin Gishu transmitted a resolution of the County Assembly via the Joint Committee on Lands, Physical Planning and Housing and Urban Development to adopt the report of the ad hoc committee on the conferment of city status to the municipality of Eldoret dated 23rd May 2023 without any amendments. Mr. Speaker, you then subsequently issued a communication on the same, referred the matter to the Standing Committee on Devolution and Intergovernmental Relations for consideration. Mr. Speaker, for some who may not know, the municipality of Eldoret has been in existence since 1953 and is definitely due for an upgrade. In consideration of the application for the conferment of city status of Eldoret Municipality, the Standing Committee on Devolution and Intergovernmental Relations engaged with various stakeholders in this very important issue. Mr. Speaker, sir, in the spirit of public participation and noting the importance of verifying that Eldoret Municipality had met the criteria as prescribed by Section 5 and the first schedule of the Urban Areas and Cities Act 2011, the committee held a county visit from 23rd August to the 25th of August 2023 and specifically met with the following stakeholders at the governor's chambers. Mr. Speaker, the people that were met were the governor of the Uasin Gishu County, the ad hoc committee that considered the recommendations, the County Assembly's Joint Committee on Lands and Physical Planning, and Committee of Housing and Urban Development to deliberate on their joint report. The other team that was met was the management and the manager of the municipality of Eldoret. And finally, Mr. Speaker, this committee met the chairperson of the Board of Municipality of Eldoret Town. Further, Mr. Speaker, the committee took a guided tour around the municipality of Eldoret to inspect the various amenities and services provided, and later had engagement with the residents of Eldoret regarding the conferment of city status to the municipality of Eldoret during a public participation
held at the Eldoret Multipurpose Social Hall. Mr. Speaker, Section 5 of the Urban Areas and Cities Act 2011 outlines the criteria that ought to be met by a municipality to qualify to be upgraded to the city status. The municipality should demonstrate that, 1, it has a population of at least 250,000 residents according to the final gazetted results of the last population census carried out by an institution authorized under any written law preceding the application for grant of city status. 2, Mr. Speaker, we found out that Eldoret had an integrated urban area of city development plan in accordance with this act and other existing laws. Number 3, Mr. Speaker, it was demonstrated that there was capacity to generate sufficient revenue to sustain its operations. Number 4, we were able to find that the town of Eldoret had a good system and records of prudent management of itself. Number 5, the town of Eldoret has a capacity to efficiently deliver its services to its residents and has in existence the services provided in the first schedule. Number 6, we realized that the town of Eldoret has institutionalized active participation by its residents in the management of its affairs. Mr. Speaker, number 8, the town of Eldoret has infrastructural facilities including but not limited to roads, street lighting, markets, fire stations, and an adequate capacity for disaster management. And finally, Mr. Speaker, what we found out is that this town has a capacity for functional and an effective waste disposal system. The first schedule of the same act further elucidates a list of services that the municipality should be able to provide and services that are required to which are already being provided by the national government. Mr. Speaker, the committee did an in-depth analysis of the stakeholder submissions based on its deliberations. The committee has made various observations and recommendations which are set out at Chapter 4 and Chapter 5 of the report. The committee was also satisfied with the inspection it carried out throughout the town. In summary, the committee strongly recommends the conferment of city status to the Eldoret municipality. Mr. Speaker, sir, may I take this opportunity to commend the members of the committee for their devotion and commitment to duty, which made the consideration of the application for conferment of city status to the municipality of Eldoret. Mr. Speaker, I also wish to thank the officers of the Speaker and the Clerk of the Senate for the support and extended to the committee, the support extended to our committee in undertaking this important assignment. Lastly, I would wish to thank the stakeholders who appeared before the committee and presented their submissions regarding the conferment of the city status of the municipality of Eldoret. Mr. Speaker, I would also like to commend and congratulate the sitting governor of Uasin Gishu County for having made it possible and having encouraged us to go to every part of that town. And I can confirm this, Speaker, because I was in that delegation. We were satisfied with the plans and the arrangements on what they want to do to upgrade the city. It is now my pleasure and duty, pursuant to Standing Order 2284A, to present the report of the Standing Committee of Devolution and Intergovernmental Relations on its consideration of the application of conferment of the city status of the municipality of Eldoret. I would like to persuade Senator Beatrice to second that position of the committee. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. And Mr. Speaker, sir, as I second the motion, I would like to start by clearing that the Urban Areas and Cities Act establishes a framework for three main things, Mr. Speaker, sir. That one, the Urban Areas and Cities Act gives a framework for the classification of urban areas and cities. Mr. Speaker, sir, the classification of urban areas include the cities as proposed by the Eldoret, proposed Eldoret city, their municipalities, their towns, and their markets within the Urban Areas and Cities Act. And Mr. Speaker, sir, this framework also establishes a governance system, a governance and management system for these urban areas. That these urban areas will have boards, the municipalities will have boards, the towns will have boards, and the markets will have committees as stipulated in the Urban Areas and Cities. Mr. Speaker, sir, this is meant that the cities or the urban areas would be managed efficiently and effectively. And lastly, Mr. Speaker, sir, the Urban Areas and Cities Act also spells out a framework for the participation by the residents in the governance areas of the urban and cities. Mr. Speaker, sir, it is important that the residents of those urban areas are consulted in the management and in the governance of those cities. And Mr. Speaker, sir, I support, I second the conferment of the city status to the municipality of Eldoret as spelled out by the mover. We saw a process that was participatory, and in the report, we saw the different stakeholders that were consulted in this process. Mr. Speaker, sir, the urban areas and cities also spells out a clear criteria for this conferment. It spells out population, as spells out in the report. The city or the municipality must have a development plan which is integrated as spelled out, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, the planning ensures that the municipality or the proposed city is orderly on the ground. Planning is about organizing the space. The criteria, another criteria that has been spelled out is that Eldoret has the capacity to generate sufficient revenue. Mr. Speaker, sir, the essence of the Urban Areas and Cities Act is that the urban areas will be self-sustaining in themselves, that they'll be able to generate revenue and in return sink back this revenue in giving the services to the residents of the urban areas. And this has been clearly spelled out. Mr. Speaker, sir, another criteria is that the municipality is able to effectively and efficiently manage their services. And of course, Mr. Speaker, sir, efficiency and effectiveness is key to the residents of these municipalities. It is not only enough that the municipalities will be collecting money or revenue from the residents of the urban areas, but as they collect this revenue, as I said earlier, this must be sunk back in the services that are offered. That the residents must have adequate water, that the residents must have access, the towns, the roads must be built up for them, that the residents must have urban facilities like health facilities that are improved, street lights for the town, sewerage plants in place. And Honorable Speaker, as this report shows, those has been spelled out. Honorable Speaker, as I said, it is not only enough that the urban areas are focused only on the incomes that are generated. But a clear roadmap must be given for all the services that is expected by the residents in these urban centers. Mr. Speaker, sir, I second this. I second the conferment of city status to the municipality of Eldoret. Thank you.
Okay. Honorable Senators, I propose the question that the Senate adopts the report of the Standing Committee on Devolution and Intergovernmental Relations on the application for conferment of city status to the municipality of Eldoret, laid on the table of the Senate on Wednesday, September 20th, 2023, and pursuant to Section 8(6) of the Urban Areas and Cities Act 2011, the Senate approves the conferment of city status to the municipality of Eldoret. Senator Boni Karwale. Majority.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I strongly support this motion. And Mr. Speaker, there's no greater urgency to debunk the lie that our towns are not ripe for city status than to give you the example of the Republic of, Mr. Speaker, Estonia. Mr. Speaker, Estonia has a population of 1.3 million people, only, the entire country. And it has the following cities. It has got Tallinn. Tallinn has a population of 450,000 people. It has got Tartu. Tartu has a population of 97,000. It has got Pamu with a population of 40. And it has got the city of Seliame, which has got a population of 12,000 people. So this lie of insisting that our town should acquire city status only after they have reached a population of 250,000 people plus is the old school of thinking. That's the old school. A city should be based on the infrastructure. If a county government is able, the way in 6 short years, Professor Peter Anyang' Nyong'o, who used to sit there, has done to Kisumu, allow those people to have their city. 750,000 people, that is the population of a Baltic state. And as I've given you an example of a Baltic state here, Estonia, they have many cities. We should support Eldoret. It is ripe. It has got land. It has got an international airport. It has got first-class hotels. And more importantly, it has the opportunity for investment. What is going to spoil Eldoret is if you deny them this opportunity to climb to city status, and you know, Eldoret is surrounded by these people who multiply day and night. No, I don't want to substantiate again. So, before you know it, you'll find now Eldoret, instead of being a planned city, it will become a town of slums. So the only way to stop the slum becoming, Eldoret becoming a town of slums, let us bestow to it city status now, so that the fathers of the city can start planning for the future to avoid a slum. Eldoret could be the only city in this country that will not have slums. There will be room to plan. Slums come because there is no land and people want to stay near the city, and so they jam there, they keep on jamming in plaza in one place. But if there is enough space like you have in Eldoret, people can plan. Secondly, Eldoret, if we give it city status today, it can change, make a paradigm shift on the land tenure policy in this country. The land tenure policy whereby, Mr. Speaker, everybody fights to have a quarter of an acre in Kakamega, an eighth of an acre in Vihiga, can only change if we change the tenure, land tenure policy, so that only people with probably 1,000 acres of land are the ones who are allowed to have farmland. But the rest, we now develop housing so that those people can come to the towns. Mr. Speaker, as I support Eldoret, we should also realize that there is an opportunity in tourism in Eldoret. Eldoret is referred to by the locals as the home of the champions. What would stop? I've just been having a tete-a-tete with a distinguished senator from Kisii. What would stop the fathers of that city in planning for athletic villages? Public partnership. Investors will come. They'll put up those villages. You'll have state-of-the-art stadia for squash, for table tennis, for soccer, and of course, what they love best, running, athletics. We have to be futuristic if we are going to give alternative ways of creating employment for our youth. Today, if you were to ask the distinguished senator of Migori, your firstborn son, he has already started planning for him even before he marries the mother, even before the mother conceives him. But go ahead and plan. It's good planning. If you are to ask him what you want that, that hypothetical son of his to have, you are not too different from Moses Kajwang, whose son is a toothless boy and he thinks he can stop threatening people. He can't threaten. A toothless child and a non-existent child, they are very close. Mr. Speaker, if you are to ask him, he will tell you he wants his son either to be an economist or he wants his son
What is your point of order?
What have I done? I've done nothing wrong.
Mr. Speaker, I rise on the point of order that addresses relevance. Mr. Speaker, could Senator Boni Khalwale tell the House, what does the teeth of my child have to do with this motion that is about conferring city status to Eldoret? Could he stick to the motion and leave the teeth of my child alone, whether he's toothless or is otherwise? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Andy Okech.
Mr. Speaker, I also rise on the same point of order as my senior, the ranking member of Obey. Mr. Speaker, I don't know what's happening today with the majority whip, or what is mocked. I know that from the region where the majority whip comes from, people smoke different things, and I don't know whether one passed by his face when he was coming.
Your point of order.
Relevance, Mr. Speaker. Ask the majority whip to stick to the topic and leave people's children out of this discussion of the cities. Unless there's a substantive motion to discuss, the children of Senator Kajwang, then he can bring that motion, and if there's a tussle between him and Kajwang that they share some children that we don't know, he can also let us know. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Boni Khalwale, what is this issue that is concerned with the Mbibis, Achundwen, and the Eldoret status?
Mr. Speaker, sir, if I heard correctly from the Senator of Homa Bay, he was challenging me on the standing order of relevance. And had he been listening, I was talking about population, where we have made a useless law that says if a town does not reach 250,000 people, it will not acquire city status. It is because of the population factor that I started talking about the lack of children by Senator Eddie Okech. And when you started laughing at him, I cautioned you that after all, you are not too different because you are merely toothless. I would have been wrong if I had referred to your artificial beard. Then you would have challenged me, Mr. Speaker. But because we are now... Mr. Speaker, sir, these athletic villages, this development of sports, it is the things that we have that those people don't have that will cause them to come where we are and therefore leave us money for tourism. All the money you spend in the UK, for example, when you go there and you go on the rooftop of those buses of theirs that tour the city, that money, literally, they are not showing you anything that you cannot replicate in this country. We need to do this, convert our towns into cities, move our people from the rural areas to come in the city so that our country can develop faster. It's a fact of science that countries that have moved their populations into central places, they develop faster. Mr. Speaker, I'm under attack from my neighbors, but even when I speak, they're pointing fingers at me. It was Charles Njonjo who used to look at MPs. Seated where you are, Charles Njonjo would be on my side. And MP would stand up and say, Mr. Speaker, sir, Charles Njonjo is looking at me. But, Mr. Speaker, with those many remarks, I look forward to Eldoret being a city. If Eldoret is a city, it means Kakamega is on its way. It will mean other areas, including Migori town, will be on its way and so on. That is the way to go. I support and hope that the member of Pokomo community will agree with me, Mr. Speaker, with those many remarks.
Let me make this communication. Honorable Senators, I would like to acknowledge the presence in the Speaker's Gallery this afternoon, visiting delegation from the Uasin County leadership who are in the Senate for a one-day visit. I request each member of the delegation to stand when called out so that you may be acknowledged in the Senate tradition. 1, Mr. Mika Logoni, CEC Finance. Mr. Joseph Lagat, CEC Member Public Works. Number 3, Mr. Edward Chemaget, Chief Officer. Ms. Victorine Kipkiai, Chief Officer. Mr. Wiri Kenei, Chairperson, Ando Committee. Mr. Julius Kitur, Chairman, Municipal Board. Mr. Tito Koyet, Municipal Manager. Mr. Emmanuel Selem, Director, Assets. And last but not the least, Mr. Noah Samoei, Office Administrator. Honorable Senators, in our ancient tradition of receiving and welcoming visitors to Parliament, I extend a warm welcome to them, and on behalf of the Senate and on my own behalf, wish them a fruitful engagement. Thank you. The next is Senator Kajwang Moses.
Mr. Speaker, I join the mover, seconder, and the bullfighter of Kakamega, who currently goes by the title of the Coward of Kakamega, in supporting this particular motion. Mr. Speaker, this is nostalgic because when in the last Parliament, we had a motion that was brought to this House for conferment of city status on Nakuru City. I was privileged to be the chair of the Devolution Committee, and I brought a report to this House. The House adopted it, and Nakuru is now a city. I agree with those who believe that we need more cities. In fact, we need at least 47 cities in this country. This idea that cities are supposed to be somewhere close to the mountain, somewhere close to the ocean, or somewhere close to the lake is completely outdated. Mr. Speaker, currently about 27% of Kenya's population is urban. But it is urban in very squalid conditions. And we must ensure that we develop urban areas, cities, municipalities, so that the things that our people used to do and the kind of life that our people used to live long before modernity, we make that a thing of the past. Even though sometimes where we come from, some of us are still very proud that we can go to the lakes and rivers and bathe in the lakes and rivers and wash utensils and clothes in the lakes and rivers. Mr. Speaker, that's not how we are supposed to live in the modern world. Even though we have these urban areas, Mr. Speaker, and many people in those urban areas are living in slums and shanties, that is not how it's supposed to be. I'd like that if this House adopts this report to make Eldoret a city, that Eldoret shall be a model city. Eldoret has got so much space. Mr. Speaker, when I was a student at Moi University, I spent 4 years in Eldoret, a beautiful place, with lots of land, such that Eldoret can expand in whatever direction. Kisumu would like to expand, but it cannot expand into the lake. Mombasa would like to expand, but it can't expand into the ocean. Nairobi would like to expand, but it's expanding towards Ruiru, it's expanding towards Machakos, expanding towards Kiambu. Eldoret has got a golden opportunity to be a city that can be replicated and a city that people can come to just to marvel at urban planning in Kenya. Mr. Speaker, there's no reason why the Romans, the Persians, the Greek, the Egyptians, and even our neighbors, the Baganda, could build modern cities, well planned, with facilities, with services, with water, with sewage, with ablution. And yet, us, with more superior knowledge, with more superior technology, we are building cities that turn into shanties and slums. And that must be the challenge that we give Eldoret, because from the mood of the House, it appears that Eldoret is going to be our next city. But what kind of city do we want to build in Eldoret? We must build resilient and sustainable cities, cities that are environmentally clean, cities that are green, cities that are powered not by coal and archaic methods of electricity and power generation, cities that are powered using clean and green energy. Mr. Speaker, I know we have an adjournment motion, so I'll make my comments very brief. There are certain risks that I must bring to the attention of the House. Mr. Speaker, in your introduction, you have introduced the municipal manager of Eldoret. We want to see the municipality of Eldoret doing what it ought to do under the Urban Areas and Cities Act and under the Public Finance Management Act. This morning, the Public Accounts Committee has had a session with the governor of Uasin Gishu. And part of the issues that the Auditor General has flagged is non-preparation of financial statements by the municipality of Eldoret. I am glad that the Auditor General says that that is now a thing of the past. But we must take financial management very seriously if we want to build modern, resilient cities. Mr. Speaker, the second largest city in the United Kingdom, Birmingham, 3 months ago, filed for bankruptcy because Birmingham is unable to meet its obligations. I see a risk in the city of Eldoret. When we looked at the contingent liabilities in the county of Uasin Gishu, it emerged that Uasin Gishu has got 700 court cases that are active. And Mr. Speaker, if you quantify that contingent liability, it comes to an amount that is higher than the annual revenue that Uasin Gishu as a county gets on an annual basis. If we are making a technical decision today, perhaps we would tell the people of Eldoret to go and sort out their contingent liabilities, to sort out their pending bills, to sort out their financial management issues before we can approve the motion for them to become a city. But I think we must be pragmatic because we cannot wait for you to be perfect for you to be a city. We will allow you to be a city, but also hold your hands so that you can be a perfect city that is financially sustainable and environmentally friendly. Another thing that I would wish that goes on record is that Eldoret must strive to build a diversified economy. Uasin Gishu has for long relied on agriculture, But we are happy that we are seeing it becoming a hub for academia, and I'm a graduate of that town. It is becoming a hub for medical related issues because of the referral hospitals. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, as I support this motion, we need more cities. Kakamega should be knocking on the doors of the Senate. There is no reason why even this Ruiru that is next to Nairobi should not be knocking on the doors of the Senate. There is no reason why each and every county should not have a city. Having a city is not a bad thing. Having a city is a sign that there is civilization. It's a confirmation of urbanization. It is a confirmation that you are moving from agrarian and primitive societies into a much more modern society. But as a Senate, I believe we now need to come up with legislation that is specific to cities. We have one County Governments Act that cuts across from Nairobi to Tharaka Nithi to Turkana. Mr. Speaker, we have one PFM Act and regulation, one procurement law and regulation that cuts across the villages to towns, to urban areas, to municipalities, to cities and to counties. We now need to start differentiating, because the manner in which you run a city like Nairobi cannot be the same way in which you run a town like Homa Bay. And yet the law is the same. The threshold is the same. So as a House, I want to challenge us that we need to start thinking of city-specific laws to support Nairobi, Mombasa, Kisumu, Nakuru, and Eldoret, which I'm hopeful the House will support to be a city. Mr. Speaker, I support.
Thank you. Next is Senator Mugatana Danson Buya.
Asante sana Bwana Spika kwa kunipa nafasi na mimi nitoe maoni yangu kuhusu hoja hii. Bwana Spika, kwanza ningependa kusema ni furaha kubwa sana kwangu leo kuwa mmoja ya wale seneta ambao tunapendekeza kwamba Eldoret ipatiwe kibali cha kuwa city kamili, jiji kuu kamili. Bwana Spika, Eldoret mara ya kwanza mimi kwenda kule nilikuwa kijana, Bwana Spika, kijana mdogo sana, na bado nilikuwa shule, na miaka hiyo ndugu yangu mkubwa ambaye sasa ni profesa wa economics, Eric Mungatana, alikuwa anafundisha. Wakati huo alikuwa ni mhadhiri katika Eldoret Moi University Eldoret, na tulikuwa tunaishi sehemu inaitwa Kapsoa. Nilikuwa nimeenda likizo Kapsoya. Bwana Spika, nilikuwa nimeenda likizo na nilipendezwa sana na nchi hiyo ya Eldoret. Lakini Bwana Spika, miaka hiyo barabara zilikuwa nyingi, hazina lami. Barabara zilikuwa ni mchanga, Bwana Spika. Wakati wa jua inakuwa kwamba gari ikipita ni michanga na mavumbi matupu, Bwana Spika. Bwana Spika, ukiruka miaka sasa, na tulikuja wakati wa kampeni, na mwisho kwenda huko wakati mwenzetu hapa Senator Professor Margaret Kamar ambaye alituita kwa mambo yake ya nyumbani ya mtoto wake. Tulipofika hapo, Bwana Spika, tofauti ya miaka ile nilikuwa Eldoret na wakati huu wa mwisho nilipoenda, Bwana Spika, ni kama mbingu na nchi. Bwana Spika, nimeona barabara nzuri. Bwana Spika, nimeona nafasi kubwa. Bwana Spika, nimeona watu wazuri kutoka pale airport. Wakati huo kulikuwa hakuna airport. Wakati huu nimeona airport kubwa, nzuri, Bwana Spika. Nimeona jiji safi, Bwana Spika. Tulipokuwa tunatoka airport kwenda hotelini, hatukuona takataka katika barabara zikiwa zimemwagika ovyo. Bwana Spika, nilifurahia siku ambazo tulikaa Eldoreti, na Bwana Spika, nilifurahia mandhari ya mji wa Eldoret. Leo hii Bwana Spika, nikiwa nimeitwa kama seneta kupitisha ombi lao la kuwekwa cheti cha jiji kuu. Bwana Spika, mimi ninataka kusema niko pamoja na wao, na ninataka kupatia hongera kamati kwa kazi ambayo wamefanya, kutembelea kule, kujua hali zao, kuwauliza maswali, na Bwana Spika, kutoa hii ripoti ambayo iko mbele yetu kuijadili. Bwana Spika, kama seneta wa Tana River, ningependa wale ambao wameshikilia ugavana pale Tana River waangalie vile wenzetu wanafanya nje ya Tana River. Hapa tumeambiwa usafi wa jiji ni kitu muhimu katika kuangalia kama jiji itaitwa mji mkuu ama city. Bwana Spika, Tana River sahi usafi, ukitoka sehemu za Bangali ukiwa unashuka ile barabara ukiwa unaenda pande ya Garissa, unaona uchafu wa makaratasi ya plastiki. Gavana yuko, lakini hakuna usafi ambao unatekelezwa, Bwana Spika, katika majiji yetu. Sio Bangali peke yake, nenda Garseni, nenda Hola, kila sehemu Bwana Spika ni kama ambaye inchi haina kiongozi na yeye yuko pale tu. Bwana Spika, tunataka watu waangalie vile wenzao wanafanya, mpaka wanakuja kutoka municipality, wanatoka kuwa municipality wanakuwa jiji kuu. Lazima tujifunze kutoka kwa wenzetu. Hapa kati ya mambo ambayo yanatakikana, Bwana Spika, ni kuwa na mochari ama mahali pa kuweka kufadhili maiti. Bwana Spika, gavana wa Tana River ambaye sasa anakaa tamu ya pili hajawahi kuona umuhimu wa kutengeneza mahali pa kuweka maiti zetu. Gavana mzima anakaa second term, haoni sababu ya kutengeneza mahali ya kuweka mochari. Bwana Spika, tukiwa tunatoka Tana River, watu wanaingia gharama kubwa sana. Hata hii Jumamosi tunaenda kuzika mwalimu, na Bwana Spika, mwalimu aligongwa, bibi yake akapata shock, baada ya siku 3 bibi yake pia akafa. Lakini huwezi kuweka maiti Garseni, huwezi kuweka maiti Hola, huwezi kuweka maiti katika mji wa Constituency ya Bura, ni mpaka uende kwa county nyingine. Aibu kubwa sana tuko nazo bwana, ambazo hata tukisema hapa tunasikia vibaya, na tuko na gavana ambaye anapata pesa. Nikizipitisha hapa pamoja na hao wenzangu, anaenda kule, badala ya kupanga mambo ya maana, tunasikia mambo ambayo hata hayako katika hii Kenya. Ndio gavana ambao tuko naye sahi, Bwana Spika. Bwana Spika, angalia health facilities. Health facilities ni vitu ambavyo vimeandikwa hapa. Eldoret wameweza kutengeneza mambo yao yamesimama vizuri, ndio maana leo wamekuja kifua mbele, wakasema wanataka kupewa nafasi waitwe jiji kuu. Health facilities kwetu hakuna madawa, Bwana Spika. Na tuko na governor yuko tu pale. Unakuta kama huyu mwalimu ambaye alikufa juzi, Bwana Spika, amegongwa na basi, unafika kwa health facility, nearest health facility, unafika watu wa kuhudumia hawako, mtu anakufia pale ukiwa unaangalia. Na tuko na mahali ambapo inaitwa serikali ya county. Mpaka imekuwa aibu ya kwamba watu wetu wakiwa wanatoka Tana River kupelekwa kwa kaunti zingine kwenda kufanywa matibabu wanakataliwa, kwa sababu watu wanaambiwa sisi tunapata pesa za ugatuzi na nyinyi mnapata pesa za ugatuzi, nendeni mkatibu huko kwenu. Ndio hali zilivyo. Kwa hivyo Bwana Spika, tunasema magavana wengine sio wa Tana River peke yake, na wengine pia waangalie mfano Eldoret, waangalie vile mambo yanapangwa ili inchi iendelee. Hapa Mheshimiwa Kajwanga amesema nataka kuwe na mijiji mikubwa 47 katika Kenya. Lakini je, magavana, je, mko macho, mnaangalia vile wenzenu wanafanya? Kuna watu wametafuta hizi nafasi ili wajitajirishe wenyewe, hawana mioyo ya kusaidia wananchi, na Mungu anawaona, na siku zenu zitafika. Sio kupoteza kiti peke yake, lazima usimame wakati unaambiwa wewe ni kupatia hii nafasi, ukawa gavana wa jimbo fulani, gatuzi fulani, uliwafanyia nini watu wako? Bwana Spika, tunaomba sana magavana waige mfano wa hii kaunti ya Uasin Gishu, vile wamekuja kufanya kazi zao na vile wamepitisha paka wakasema hii kamati yenyewe ya devolution ya gatuzi ya Senate waende wakakague. Walikuwa kifua mbele, walikuwa na confidence ya kwamba mambo yatakuwa sawa, na kweli kamati walileta ripoti ambayo tumeifurahia. Bwana Spika, mimi nimefurahi vile nimeenda Eldoreti wakati wa usafiri wangu wa mwisho huko. Tumeona tofauti kati ya Eldoreti tulioijua na Eldoreti ambayo iko sasa. Kwa hivyo nawaomba wenzangu ambao tuko katika motion hii leo, Bwana Spika, tuipitishe bila kupoteza wakati. Asante Bwana Spika, Mungu akubariki. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator Mgatana. When I acknowledged the team from Uasin Gishu County, the Honorable Governor was not present, so I want also to acknowledge his presence. The Governor of Uasin Gishu County, His Excellency Honorable Jonathan B. And because the Senator for Uasin Gishu was not around that time, I want to give you 2 minutes to acknowledge their presence and to welcome them in the Senate. Mandago.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to welcome my county delegation led by the Governor. And Honorable Speaker, I think I'm the most fortunate senator to serve in this term, that my Governor is at the gallery, Honorable Speaker. And yesterday, Honorable Speaker, we were debating the additional allocation bill, and I'm happy to let them know that as a Senate and as a House, we have added an additional over 1 billion Kenya shillings to improve services in my home county, Mr. Speaker, and I'm grateful to this House for that support of ensuring that the additional funds go to counties. Honorable Speaker, as the Senator for Uasin Gishu, I want to thank the Committee on Devolution who went to the ground and assessed the readiness of Eldoret to graduate to become a city. Honorable Speaker, the people of Uasin Gishu are eagerly waiting for the conferment of Eldoret as a city. As you are aware, Honorable Speaker, when you went to that county during the devolution conference, that Eldoret is indeed ready to be the 5th city of this country. And Honorable Speaker, as Eldoret is being conferred to become a city status, it should also be noted that it is the fastest growing town, which will be the fastest growing city in Kenya, and there is opportunity that this is a 5th city that has actually good potential to become the biggest city in this country. And we say that, Honorable Speaker, because we are privileged as a county to have land for expansion. We are privileged as a county to be located on the corridor that serves the East Africa region, Honorable Speaker. We are privileged as a county, Honorable Speaker, to have the railway line. And although it is the old railway line, Honorable Speaker, and I hope this administration will extend the SGR to Eldoret and Malaba, Honorable Speaker, it is only in that county that we have 5 railway stations, starting from Kamngetuny, you go to Plateau, you go to Eldoret, you go to Leseru, you go to Moi's Bridge, we have railway station. That means, Honorable Speaker, that county in terms of transportation, we can easily transport goods to the market within the country and outside the country. That is a city that is ready for investments, Mr. Speaker. And I want to urge Kenyans from all over the country and investors who come to this country that the investment choice destination should actually be Eldoret. We are privileged, Honorable Speaker, and we want to thank the late President Moi, who at this time of presidency established the Eldoret International Airport, Honorable Speaker. And you remember, Honorable Speaker, some members who sat in this House and Parliament, who are your colleagues, once said that that international airport is going to be used to ferry cow dung. I want to report as a senator of Uasin Gishu County that that international airport indeed is being used for export. Goods coming through Eldoret International Airport. It is the best airport for cargo goods to land. The turnaround time is less than a day for a flight to offload cargo, Honorable Speaker. I therefore want to thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the opportunity and thank this team from the county for making sure that they finalize the process of Eldoret becoming a city. And allow me, Honorable Speaker, 1 second just to throw a caution to the Governor and his team that for Eldoret to remain a city, the issue of urban planning and approvals must be taken seriously, Honorable Speaker. I was disappointed to see a development on top of a sewer line. Honorable Governor, a city is driven by the Department of Planning and Urban Development. Keep your eyes on that department because we want to have a modern city. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, and thank you for the opportunity.
Cut you short, but this House made a decision earlier on to suspend the sitting so that we can have discuss a matter of national importance. So, Senator Mundigi, can you move your motion?
Bwana Spika, naomba onja ifuatavyo ya kwamba kikao cha Seneti kiahirishwe kwa mujibu wa kanuni za kudumu za Seneti kipengele cha 37(1) ili kujadili swala mahususi la dharura na muhimu kwa taifa kuhusu ukosefu wa usalama katika Turkana County, nchi yetu, hasa mji wetu wa Sondu na katika kaunti ya Turkana. Bwana Spika, kutoka mbingu na inji.
What is your point of order, Senator Manda? Just a minute, Senator Mundigi.
Honorable Speaker, did I hear the senator for Embu say Sondu is in Turkana County?
No, it's hii hoja imeunganishwa usalama Sondu, mji wa Sondu na kaunti ya Turkana. Zote ziko na ishi. So malizia, Senator Mundigi.
Bwana Spika, kutoka Mungu aumbe mbingu na nchi mpaka tupate uhuru, kaunti ya Turkana kumekuwa na vita juu ya mifugo, kumekuwa na janga la njaa, pia kumekuwa na shinda ya Turkana na watu wa Uganda, kumekuwa na shinda na Turkana na watu wa Ethiopia, pia kumekuwa na jirani wao watu wa Pokoti. Kutoka tupate uhuru mpaka mwaka wa 2013 pia Turkana imekuwa na shinda hiyo hiyo. Kutoka wakati huo mwaka wa 2013 mpaka miaka 10 Turkana imekuwa na shinda hainjaisha. Mambo ya ajabu, nashukuru Mungu kwa sababu ya wale watu walisema kuwe na mambo ya ukatusi. Katika Kenya kuko na majimbo 47. Hiyo majimbo 47 unakuta pesa ilisemekana majimbo hiyo iko na kila department 10 na imekuwa ikipata pesa. Jimbo la Turkana kwa miaka 10 limekuwa likipata bilioni 100 karibu na 30, kwa mwaka imekuwa ikipata bilioni karibu 13. Wakati hiyo Embu County imekuwa ikipata bilioni karibu 6. Na mambo ya ajabu, wale walitengeneza hii sheria ilikuwa ni mambo ya kuunganisha wale watu wako juu na wale wako chini wanjiwezi waweze kupata pesa ya kutengeneza maisha yao yaweze kwenda vizuri. Na kutoka wakati hiyo mpaka leo ile jimbo la Turkana imekuwa na shinda. Mambo ya janga la njaa, mambo ya vita imekuwa ni shinda. Hata unakuta wizara zingine kama ya miti hakuna hata kamuti hata mmoja, unakuta ni shinda. Hata ile vitu zingine zilitengenezwa serikali ya zamani zote zimesoroteka. Bwana Spika, wakati tulienda huko njuzi, tulienda tukatembea, mambo ya shinda ni mambo ya security. Hata wakati tunalala askari wako pale, wakati tunatembea askari wako pale. Mambo ya ajabu. Seneti itasaidia namna gani jimbo la Turkana? Mambo ya pesa tunataka kujua. Kuna park, si a person wa park. Kuna watu wanaitwa Auditor General. Shilingi bilioni 160 ama bilioni 130 tunataka kujua siko wapi. Ya pili, mimi nikiwa mwenyekiti wa agriculture, tulitoka Turkana Market Town tukaenda pahali pako na mambo ya kilimo, tukakuta kuna agriculture pahali wanalima. Wale tulifikiria tutakuta watu wanalima wengi ama serikali inalima. Tulikuta just eka 10 ambayo inalimwa na mama moja na bwana yake. Ile kitu alituambia mambo ya usuni ni mambo ya vita. Mambo ya ajabu tulisikia hata fertilizer, mambo ya Syrian bond. Wanjui, juzi nilisikia wakisema ati watu kuwapatia muda ya kuongea. Sisi tuliwapatia muda wa kuongea, lakini mambo walisema ni mambo ya vita na mambo ya ajabu. Unakuta hakuna mambo inaendelea kule mambo mazuri. Kwa hivyo Bwana Speaker, mpaka Senate sahi mkitaka kusaidia ndio mambo ya ukatuzi isiishe, mpaka tuwe macho. Tuliangalia ile shamba na mambo ya kustua, ule mama alikuwa analima eka 10 na zile zingine asiwezi limwa. Mambo ya ajabu. Kama vita ingekuwa haiko, ile mambo ingekuwa inaweza kuendelea vizuri. Siku ya pili tulienda bahari kwa uvuvi ya samaki. Tukaangalia ambaye factory moja ambaye ilijengwa miaka mingi ambaye imesoroteka. Tunataka kujua zile pesa inaenda Turkana zinafanya kazi gani. Tunataka kujua hiyo pesa hata national government hakuna kitu yote inaendelea pale. Wale watu wako na msukasuko ya vita, wako na shinda. Hata wakati magari inatembea kwa njia unakuta jua ni kali sana, unakuta kila mtu anaomba maji. Jameni Senate, mpaka kwa sababu ni hapa house, mpaka kutoka sasa mfikirie vile mtaokoa jimbo zile zingine, kwa sababu jimbo nyingi siko na pesa na zile ziko na pesa nyingi asinjafanya kazi ile inavaa. Ya mwisho, mambo ya uvuvi wa samaki, ile kampuni imesoroteka. Wale watu wako pale, samaki zile ziko pale kama zinaweza kuangaliwa vizuri, wale watu watapata chakula. Pia kilimo ikiangaliwa vizuri, wale watu watapata chakula. Kwa hiyo naomba serikali na Senate tuungane pamoja, tuweze kuona vile tutasaidia wale watu wa Turkana na kaunti zile zingine ziko na shida. Nikimalizia, mpaka park Senate iseme tuone kama kaunti ni 47 kwa sababu kuna kazi nyingi. Nataka kusema kuonekane kama kutakuwa kila komiti itasimamia kama kaunti 10. Ndio kwa kipindi ya miaka 5 tuweze kuona vile tutaweza kusaidia wale watu wa Turkana. Nikimaliza yangu ni kuomba Senator Okechi wa Migori asimame aniunge mkono. Asante Bwana Speaker.
Senator Eddy.
Mr. Speaker, I thank you so much. I stand to second the motion to adjourn the House and discuss the issues of national importance, namely security issues that are in Turkana and in Sondu. And indeed, Mr. Speaker, I'll start by commenting that I did visit Turkana while we were visiting in the Senate Mashinani. And I do appreciate the fact that it is an issue of going concern, but also I do also appreciate that there are some level of responses that we have seen in that area that my brother, Senator Mundigi, has captured very well, and I hope that this continues. You know, in the areas of Kainuk, we have seen the deployment of serious force of government and serious hand of government. I saw as we were being escorted to a number of places. We have seen the National Police Reserves in the places that we visited, even in the irrigation scheme. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, I wanted to even invite our attention to a more raw and a more grievous issue that is going on in the counties of Kisumu and counties of Kisumu and Kericho. And Mr. Speaker, the issue of Sondu is an issue that perturbs my mind because I've been trying to keep in touch with every information that is coming from the ground, Mr. Speaker. As we speak right now, Mr. Speaker, there are 6 people who are dead. Mr. Speaker, 10 wounded and hospitalized in Nyabondo and Kisumu hospitals. 11 houses that have been claimed to be of Luo, people of Luo's descent, have been torched, and this was happened this morning. Mr. Speaker, in Sondu town, there's 3 major business premises that have been burnt down today. And Mr. Speaker, as I speak right now, 200 people have been displaced in Sondu of Luo descent. And Mr. Speaker, you can find this information in ACK Church in Genge, and others are housed at Saka Primary, Mr. Speaker. This concerns me, Mr. Speaker, because the issue of Sondu is an issue that has been there with us for the longest time. Maybe people who are not familiar with this issue, Mr. Speaker, it's an issue that is associated between 2 issues of conflict areas. Mr. Speaker, one is the issue of periodic attacks by the Kipsigis community on the Luo community on the issues of cattle. But the more overarching issue, Mr. Speaker, has been the issue of the contested border points between these 2 communities. We know very well that, Mr. Speaker, during the time of the regime of the late President Moi, this issue escalated very fast to a serious tribal clash that first started by the attack on the Luo communities and then escalated to the point whereby retaliations led to the killing of the other community, Mr. Speaker. During the time of President Kibaki, as well as during the time of President Uhuru Kenyatta, we saw a bit of calm among these 2 communities. But this part of new attacks on the Luo communities at the border, Mr. Speaker, has emanated in the wage of what was called maandamano. I remember that on 7th of July this year, there was an attack that was perpetrated on the Luo community by the people that come from the other side of the border that is contested in Kericho. And Mr. Speaker, many of the Luo communities, out of the 8 people who died, all of them happen to be the Luo community. I am a national leader, Mr. Speaker, and I don't want to tribalize this just because I happen to come from that area. It is indeed wrong to tribalize this kind of conflict because that kind of ethnic wrangle can end up bringing down a nation. But, Mr. Speaker, I must say that the kind of silence that we have seen in the presidency on the issue of Sondu is wanting. I say wanting because the president of this country has appointed a cabinet secretary who is supposed to deal with issues of this magnitude. Mr. Speaker, when the cabinet secretary who is in charge of interior and security went to Sondu, Mr. Speaker, he did not take time to sit down with the leaders on that area and deal with the overarching issues of these tribal killings. Instead, the cabinet secretary, Mr. Speaker, ended up just sitting with the police administration. And this happened knowing very well that when the clashes started, the police were supporting members of the other communities to facilitate this kind of crimes, Mr. Speaker. They were on TV and we saw this, Mr. Speaker.
What is your point of order, Majority Whip?
Under Standing Order number 105, to appeal to my colleague, even if he has grounds for substantiation, let this motion, Mr. Speaker, bring us together. This motion, Mr. Speaker, contribute towards peace. But, Mr. Speaker, when we use this floor to then state categorically that the police is aiding one tribe against the other one, we are not rising to the level of this House. I do not think that any police commander has the capacity to see two youths and say these ones are Luos and these ones are Kalenjins. It's the wrong way to go. I appeal to my brother, that is not the route. Otherwise, tomorrow we shall count more bodies, I tell you.
Senator Eddy, can you correct your statement if that is what you had said?
Mr. Speaker, I've given you the statistics that are in the national domain of the if there are crashes anywhere and 8 people have died and they happen to be random clashes and out of those 8 happen to be a member of one community, why must I not mention that? Honorable Boni Aluale, as we speak right now, the formal border, as formal as is in government, of these two conflicting communities,
Senator
is
Eddy,
right.
You will address the Speaker, not Boni Kalwale.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to inform my brother, Honorable Boni Aluale, that the border of the two warring communities is right at behind Olo Primary in Nyakach. And that is about 1 kilometer away from the Kisii Ahero Tarmac Road. As we speak right now, the police are at the Tarmac Road. They are not at the border where the clashes are happening. What is that supposed to mean? It means that it aids one community against the other. And one of the prayers that I wanted to invite us as a Senate to do, very, very honestly, is to make sure that the police infrastructure in that border region is changed completely, so that we can have new officers and new authority that can be able to deal with this issue without any bias, so that these communities can be at par. But what I was also alluding to is that the president must make a pronouncement on this issue. The reason is, if the CS went there a few months ago and was not able to resolve these issues, and the president does not pronounce himself on this matter, Mr. Speaker, the president comes from a community that is in power today, and the other community is perceived to come from the opposition, Mr. Speaker. If we don't deal with that issue in a way that the president does not pronounce himself in this matter, then this issue gets politicized, and then it escalates to the levels that Honorable
Give him 1 minute to conclude.
Mr. Speaker, just 1 minute to conclude. I think that, Mr. Speaker, I'm just trying to prescribe solutions here, that if the president pronounce himself on this issue as a matter of national security, it will be weightier and it will be taken seriously by local leaders so they can sit down and talk. Otherwise, Mr. Speaker, if the president cannot pronounce himself on this matter, then I want to plead with this House that because we're national leaders, then perhaps we need to form an other committee to go and investigate these issues, try and bring the communities together, and I will urge the senior leader, the majority whip, because the majority leader is not in the House, that perhaps help us come with this other committee, so that we can go to these communities, sit down with them, form an equivalent of Gachacha courts, and then be able to talk with them to bring this matter to rest. Otherwise, we might lose a nation by having two communities pitted against each other, where one comes from the president's side and one comes from the leader who is purported to be the leader of opposition. With that, Mr. Speaker, I want to support this motion, and I want to invite sobriety as we deal with this issue, that it should not be tribal, but we find lasting solution without any bias. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Seneta, waheshimiwa, napendekeza swali ya kwamba kikao cha seneti kiahirishwe kwa mujibu wa kanuni za kudumu za seneta kipengele cha 37(1) ili kujadili swala mahsusi la dharura na muhimu kwa taifa kuhusu ukosefu wa usalama katika nchi yetu, hasa mji wa Sondu na katika kaunti ya Turkana. Waheshimiwa maseneta, nataka kuwajulisha kwamba kufuatia kanuni za kudumu za seneti 37(6), kila ambaye atachangia kwa huu mswada atakuwa na dakika 5 peke yake, na tutumie hizo dakika 5 vizuri. Na pia maseneta, ningependa pia kutoa onyo kali kujizuia kutoka kuchochea hii maneno kwa matamshi yetu, na tuweze kuongea kwa njia ambayo tunaweza kuleta suluhu na sio kuchochea. Asanteni. Senator Julius Murko.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Mstahiki Speaker. Nashukuru kwa kunipa nafasi. La kwanza ningependa kusema ya kwamba vile wewe umetaja au umesema ya kwamba ni lazima tujichunge ili tusiwe wachochezi katika unenaji wetu. Kwanza mimi singependelea jina la president utajwe hapa kwa sababu ya yanayoendelea katika Sondu. Kwa sababu kuna sehemu nyingi ambayo shida kama hiyo inaendelea na haihusu president kwa njia yoyote. North Rift, pahali mimi natoka, pahali president anatoka, pahali viongozi wetu wengi wanatoka, kuna shida hiyo. Na hatuwezi kulete jina la president nyumba ya nani wakipigana na nani. Ni lazima tuangalie shida ni nini hapo ili tutatue. Na pia singependelea sisi tuende Turkana wiki moja na tu conclude ya kwamba Wapokot ndio wabaya, ati wameua Waturkana. Napenda kusema hapa ya kwamba tangu the beginning, mwanzo wa mwaka huu, Wapokot zaidi ya 30 wameuawa. Na hatusemi ya kwamba Waturkana ni wabaya. Tunasema uovu unaoendelea ni mbaya. Wale wanaua Waturkana ni watu wabaya. Wale wanaua Wapokot ni watu wabaya. Na hatusemi, hatu point ama hatuelekezi kidole kwa community moja, kwa sababu hawa communities wamekuwa na hali hiyo kwa miaka mingi, Mstahiki Speaker, kwa sababu ya tabia zilizoko, mambo ya ng'ombe, mambo ya uchache wa maji na upungufu wa chakula na mambo mengi, lakini haitasuluhisha kufikiria ya kwamba labda katika Sondu Wakipsigis ndio wabaya, Wajaluo ni wazuri, au Wajaluo ni wazuri au ni wabaya, wale wengine ni wabaya. Tutafute dawa ili tuweze kulete watu ambao wanasosana katika sehemu pamoja. Lakini tukisema kama viongozi kuongea katika jinsi ya kuchocheza kikundi kimoja juu ya wale wengine, tutakuwa tunamwaga petroli juu ya maji, juu ya moto. Kwa hivyo sisi kama viongozi ndio tutalete dawa. Sisi kama viongozi ndio tutaweza kuelekeza watu wakae kwa njia ambayo ni mzuri. Na vile serikali sasa inafanya katika North Rift ni kutafuta kile ambacho hao watu wanaweza kupata kwa njia ya maendeleo ili waachane na misozo na waweze kukaa pamoja na kugawa rasilimali yaliyomo pamoja. Ukiangalia Turkana kwa mfano, Turkana katikati haina shida, lakini hakuna kinachoendelea. Pahali kuna shida kando kando tu ndio ina shida, lakini mbona katikati haiendelei? Mabilioni ya pesa, NGOs wamejaa huko. Hakuna pahali ina NGOs kama Turkana, lakini mbona maendeleo bado ni mbaya. Mashule bado ni udongo, mahospitali bado hayajafika pahali Waturkana wangependelea kupata madawa, na hiyo mambo ya irrigations na nini hayafiki pahali inatakikana. Kitu gani kinameza rasilimali yote ambayo inaenda Turkana? Mbali na Nairobi, Turkana ndio second au namba ya pili kupata pesa mingi. Asante.
Senator Boni Khalwale.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, 5 minutes is too short for you to speak on instability in Turkana and instability in Sondu. So allow me, because of the very active nature of what is happening in Sondu, to dwell on Sondu. Politicians, the youth, you are the problem in Sondu. Politicians, even before they go to Sondu, they have already formed an opinion. They are saying, if you go on social media, that the president should have made a statement and said that the president serves the people of this country through the ministries. We have a minister for internal security. It is only after that minister has failed that the president would wade into it. Let us ask Kindiki again, over and over again, to come and go on top of things. I refuse to accept that a Luo man, when he sees a Kalenjin man, he sees somebody to kill. No. In 1992, Kennedy Kiliku, he was an honorable member of this House, he led a commission that came up with the Kiliku report on the tribal clashes of 1992. And he found that the clashes were because of land conflict, the clashes were because of cattle rustling, the clashes were because of political differences, and the clashes were because of the fight over the water resource. Period. It ended there, and recommendations have been made. Universities have made studies on how to solve it. The shameful bit of it, Mr. Speaker, sir, is the two factors that were not there in 1992 are at play in Sondu. The first one, Mr. Speaker, is the so-called boundary conflict. People have started saying that the boundary between Kisumu and Kericho should go this way or that way, and their politicians are asking them to defend it. And the result, people are dying, people are fighting, property is being destroyed. The second one, Mr. Speaker, is that there is now a fight over revenue collection. Let us ask ourselves, and my younger brother is there. You know the story of Maseno. My younger brother is there. You know the story of Tarubo. If people are going to be incited to fight over collection of resources, ask yourself, who is most likely to benefit if revenue is be collected? The person to benefit is the governor. So the governor of Kericho and the governor of Kisumu, they must stop going to public fora and telling people that the revenue of Sondu should be collected by this side or that side. It in itself is incitement of our people. And any governor who then makes that pronouncement.
What is your point of order, Eddie? Senator Eddie.
Mr. Speaker, you know I take this issue very seriously because it takes, and I'm standing under standing order number 105. I take this issue very seriously because anytime one life is lost in this country, Mr. Speaker, I feel extremely, extremely perturbed and disturbed. The senator for Kakamega has just said, evidentially so, that the governor of Kisumu and the governor of Kericho are at the heart of inciting this violence by virtue of their pronouncement. Mr. Speaker, that's a statement of fact. And I want to know whether it is in order for the Senator for Kakamega to indict the two governors. And if indeed this is true, Mr. Speaker, then the governor of Kakamega must produce, for the record of this House, because the people who are dying in that area, must produce those statements for the purposes of dealing with this conflict. And he must produce in this House so that we can use it as a statement of fact to hold these two leaders to account. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, I hope you are holding my time. Senator, let me tell you, through the Speaker, this arrogance, this entitlement that if a Luo is dying, then I'm a Luo senator, I should be seen to be shouting most, doesn't make you a better advocate of the peace and security of that region. Can you shut up? You don't have the floor.
Order.
Mr. Speaker.
Order.
Mr. Speaker.
Order. Senator Boni Kalwale. Order.
What is this? Mr. Speaker.
Senator Boni Kalwale. Order, please. Eddie. Senator Eddie. Order. Can we have some order first of all before we continue? Senator Boni Kalwale. Senator Eddie, please hold your horses. Senator Boni Kalwale. Senator Eddie stood on a point of order to ask you to substantiate your statement on whether the two governors have made such pronouncements. Is it your position that you're able to substantiate or withdraw?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it will pay for senators, if they want to challenge others on points of order, to start by paying attention to what that senator has said. I have not, and the Hansard will bear me out. I've not said in any way that Nyong'o is responsible or the Senator Mutai of Kericho is responsible. I say the governor Mutai is responsible. I said if you didn't go to a good school, be listening to us who went to good schools when we speak in English. Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir. It is important and it is documented by institutions of higher learning that specialize in research that at the heart of these so-called clashes are perpetrators. Those are not my words. And the perpetrators, the research has demonstrated, are us, politicians, who use our youth. Mr. Speaker, when I say that, I'm not pointing a finger at any specific governor. I am just saying, speaking from this Senate, we are requesting politicians to desist from making inciting statements. And when people die, and that person, for example, 1 minute, Mr. Speaker. 1 minute.
Give the senator 1 minute to conclude.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. For those of us who socialize a lot in the rural areas, I meet Jeraregei in Nandi when I'm attending funerals of my relatives in Nandi. I meet Jeraregei in Kakamega when he's attending in my place. I meet Oburu in Siaya when I'm burying my relatives. So there is nothing like tribes these days. Mr. Speaker, tribes are no longer there. Wives are exchanged over the children, have got DNAs across the road. Those people who are stuck in tribes, shame.
Senator James Lomenen.
Mr. Speaker, I support this motion of adjournment. Mr. Speaker, I am perturbed and perplexed to see our colleagues talking about tribes and talking about president. I think, to me, a bandit is a bandit. whether it comes from the community of whoever, the senior, whatever, he is a bandit. His aim is to kill and to destroy and to damage. Terrorists, Al-Shabaab, cannot be defined by the tribe. They can only be defined by the action they do. All that we want to understand, Mr. Speaker, the role of the government is to protect life and property of the citizens. When the life of the citizen are threatened, who are we supposed to ask? And as Chief Whip has said, there are departments that have been endorsed this responsibility of protecting lives and property. I remember the president of this nation, one time, either in Baringo, he was very categorical. And he said, I'm very sorry, Mr. Speaker, he said in Kiswahili, wezi ya mifugo siku yao imefika na watashughulikiwa na serikali ya Kenya na sio tafadhali. So the president declared this issue. So let us not mention the president. He declared the way we wanted. So where is the problem? The implementers of the policy, the implementers of the orders are the people who are supposed to ask, why are people still killed? I don't want Mr. Speaker to be informed. Mr. Speaker, yesterday, the Cabinet Secretary for Defense was here, and I'm just reading the Constitution, Article 241, 1C, that the defense may be deployed to restore peace in any part of Kenya affected by unrest or instability only with the approval of the National Assembly. Mr. Speaker, in Uganda, between Uganda and Kenya, between Uganda and Turkana, there is no KDF. Between Ethiopia and Turkana, there is no KDF. Between Southern Sudan and Turkana, there is only a few KDF. So who is protecting the territory of Kenya there? The people of Turkana. And we are not seeking for compensation. What we are seeking, Mr. Speaker, let the government play its role. Because to tell you a very suitable case study, in Southern Sudan, people, everybody, even women, are well armed with sophisticated weapons. Everybody is an inspector of police. Everybody is general. They kill the way they want. And then on the other side, because we respect the law, we only have NPRs or KPR. So you cannot compare them with these guys who are well sophisticated. Mr. Speaker, what we are saying is this. Because Turkana community have volunteered to protect the territory of Kenyans, whether they are informed or not informed, what we are saying, let the government appreciate them by making sure the NPR, the local people who know the terrain of that area, let the NPR be increased. In each center, let them be 200. I am telling you, no one will interfere with the territory, with the boundary of Kenya. The other thing that I want to tell you, the government delayed
Senator Lomenen, I will add you 1 minute to conclude.
Yes, I'm saying the government, I don't know which government, the government delayed to disarm these bandits, these terrorists. So what is happening now, the illegal arms are at the hands of people who are illegal to have arms. So what is so difficult, if the CS for Interior goes to a certain area, he finds it difficult to disarm. Why? The people will claim that we are always killed, our property is taken, and there is no action taken. So what they do, they say, no, let us we protect ourselves, we protect our life, we protect our property, until the government takes action to ensure that the enough security is there. So so the people, we are not saying about whether this tribe is but we are saying there is a tribe that is aggressors. Why do they kill, interfere with the other county? They interfere in Samburu, they interfere with Marakwet, they interfere with Trans Nzoia, they interfere with Nakuru, even Uasin-Gishu. Eh? So these bandits come from where?
Thank you, Senator. Your time is up. Senator Cherargei Samson.
Thank you. Just mine is quick observations. One is I want to thank the two senators for bringing this bipartisan adjournment motion. Mr. Speaker, Senator Mundigi, which I don't agree with what he said about splitting park, and Senator Eddie Okech. Mr. Speaker, I would have wished, and I want to appeal today, my colleagues, that let us discuss this motion with the intention of bringing solutions. It will not benefit all of us to do name calling. I agree with Senator Lomenen when it says the president, and I want to assure the House that Dr. William Ruto's government has said he will put an end to abuse of law, lawlessness, insecurity across the country. You heard him say in Samburu that this is the government that will put to end the issue of cattle rustling and banditry. Mr. Speaker, as we talk, in North Rift, the guns have gone silent, and we hope it remains the same. Mr. Speaker, in Turkana, I want to agree that disarmament and even distribution of NPR, we should not arm one community against one another. Mr. Speaker, they must agree when they are giving out national police reservists, they ensure they balance the interest so that they don't arm other communities against other through NPR, Mr. Speaker. And I hope the Minister, Professor Kithure Kindiki, when you look at principles of national security under Article 238, the national security, in performing their functions and exercising their powers, national security organs shall respect the diverse culture of communities within Kenyans. Mr. Speaker, Professor Kithure Kindiki used to sit there. He was the majority leader. They say real statesmen and leaders are met during time of crisis. I am a neighbor to Kisumu and Kericho. But what is happening in Sondu is unfortunate. And that is why, Mr. Speaker, if you see, and we must investigate, Senator Kalwala has said something, which we are saying if some of these clashes that is on Sondu is politically motivated, Professor Kithure Kindiki must tell us. Is it coincidence when the president normally visits Luo Nyanza, there must be tribal clashes at Sondu? Possibly, yes. Because of political interest of trying to paint the president in bad light while he's touring Luo Nyanza. You saw in July when he went to Luo Nyanza, Mr. Speaker, tribal clashes happened spontaneously. When he's now traveling tomorrow to Luo Nyanza, Mr. Speaker, it has been spontaneously, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm saying if...
Senator Osotsi, what is your point of order?
All my time.
Mr. Speaker,
I will deal with you.
My good neighbor, Senator Cherargei, has claimed that every time the president goes to Nyanza, there are clashes in Sondu. Is it in order to say that? Because we know that clashes in that area has been on for many years. Even the days of President Moi, people were fighting. And then William Ruto was not the president. Is it in order to say that the president visit to Nyanza is what triggers the clashes in Sondu?
Senator Cherargei, Senator Cherargei, Senator Cherargei, that's exactly what you said. So I would ask you to withdraw.
I said if, and the answer can bear me witness. I'm willing to look at the answer. I said, is it possible? You know, we need, some of us went to good schools of English, Mr. Speaker. Is it possible? Mr. Speaker, I have said, is it possible? Can you take control of the Senator
be heard in silence.
I don't know why he's getting excited. But the point I'm trying to make, Mr. Speaker, the point I'm trying to make, Mr. Speaker,
Senator Wambua Enoch, what is your point of order?
Mr. Speaker, I am listening to Senator Cherargei with more than passing interest. When he started very well. He actually advised us that we should debate this matter with the intention of getting solutions. And I thought he would pursue that line. You know, now the route that he's taking, I don't know what solution we're going to get out of this. To imply that the clashes are politically aligned with the visits of the president is to be mean with the truth. Because he knows very well that these things happened even long before William Ruto became president. So can he just go back to line and debate this matter with an intention of bringing solution? By the way, through you, Mr. Speaker, Senator Cherargei needs to know that there are people that have lost their lives. People are dead. It's not a matter that we bring here and start politicizing. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator. What is your point of order, Eddie?
Mr. Speaker, I'm standing under the point of order 101 because I've seen the mischief of Senator Cherargei and of course the previous senator who had talked about this use of if. This House anticipated that kind of cheekiness. And that is why we have got standing order number 101. Because when you use the word if, you are implying, you are imputing. And even in the sense that somebody says that they went to better school. Cherargei, if I tell you the school that I went to, Senator Cherargei, you might want to go back to school. You cannot use the word if with the intention of trying to impute improper motive on some members of members of parliament in the entire parliament. And that is what Cherargei is doing. So, Mr. Speaker, I wanted to urge you that perhaps you rule, because the word if is a very difficult word for Cherargei to use, perhaps you rule that he should not impute and use the word if with the intention of imputing improper motive on other parliamentarians, not only in this Senate, but also in the National Assembly. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Senator Eddy. Senator Cherargei, the use of the word if, or maybe, or any possible word that might asperse improper motive on a person or persons or community shall not be allowed in the floor of the House. So please withdraw that statement about the visit of the President in Luo Nyanza and proceed to conclude your debate.
Mr. Speaker, I stand guided, and since we need to take English class lessons because it looks like we are getting confused, but I only delete the part that refer to the community, because I use if there is possibility. I see it very well, Mr. Speaker, and I'm willing to look at the answer. If there is possibility that this is not a coincidence, Mr. Speaker, but I withdraw the part that refers to the communities, Mr. Speaker, because I don't want to cast aspersions, because the communities, we share the same border with Kisumu, Nandi, in Chemase, Chemelil, just like Kericho and others, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, I want to say, I hope the minister, I would have expected the Minister of Interior to go with the local leadership, let also the police handle. Mr. Speaker, we have absolute faith in our police, Mr. Speaker. Because even if we can send them to handle chaos in Haiti of criminal gangs, Mr. Speaker, I have belief, even at that time you saw how they handled the Azimio protest in this town. Our police have capacity and ability, Mr. Speaker, to deal with lawlessness. I heard Senator Eddy saying they are on the tarmac. Mr. Speaker, I want them to pursue criminals wherever they are. We have given them, Mr. Speaker, yesterday the President received interim and progress report of salary increment to the police. And even the insurance cover, they have been provided with the police, Mr. Speaker. I want to ask our brother Senator Professor Kithure Kindiki, in the next, because I empathize and sympathize with 7 Kenyans who have lost their lives in Sondu, Mr. Speaker, and others, thousands of them have been injured. We empathize with them, our condolences are with them, but the Minister of National Security and Interior must be on Sondu. I expect him to be there today or tomorrow. And Mr. Speaker, you have seen, the President is no-nonsense gentleman. If you don't perform, we reshuffle you in that cabinet. And you saw many people who have gone home, who tried, who have been reassigned, who used to look down on the performance of this House, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I therefore appeal to the communities that live in Sondu, that they remain peaceful, Mr. Speaker, and respect each other as Kenyans. With those many remarks, I support.
Senator, what is your point of order?
Kukataana na mambo ya Cheregei ni kuchangia, alikuwa anachangia, lakini siwe kuja kusema mambo ya Profesa Kindiki ati anaweza timuliwa kwa sababu ya kosa kazi. Katika serikali ya Kenya Kwanza tunajua ule waziri amefanya kazi vizuri kuliko wale wengine wote. Ni Profesa Kindiki, pia inafaa ni aende angalie nini inaendelea kule. Kwa hiyo Senator nakatana na Cheregei sio
Senator Mundigi. Senator Mundigi. Senator Mundigi. Senator Mundigi, you are out of order. First of all, your point of order is not relevant because the senator had not said that and he had finished. So we'll go to the next speaker. Senator Geoffrey Osotsi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, indeed, the events of Sondu are really, really saddening to us. And I think, as Cheregei had started very well by saying, I think we need to talk about solutions and how this matter can be addressed. Mr. Speaker, in September 2020, the governors of the Lake Region Economic Bloc held a meeting and had a peace accord. And this included governors from Nyanza, Western, and Nandi, and South Rift. And what we need to ask ourselves is that what happened? Because it looks clearly that this agreement has been not been honored. Because we have had 4 incidences in Sondu. Mr. Speaker, we have also had an incident between the border of Kisumu and Nandi, somewhere around Moroni there. We have had issues, Mr. Speaker, even recently in my county, the boundary between Vihiga and Aldai, at a place near Serem there. Very recently, last month, Mr. Speaker, where the attackers came and attacked and provoked, attacked a village, killed animals, burnt the animals, injured people, and burnt houses. That was not given the coverage that Sondu is being given now. But Mr. Speaker, it was an eye-opener that people could be attacked when they have done nothing. They were simply celebrating circumcision, and then they are attacked. And the houses were burnt, cows were burnt around Serem there. My good friend, my neighbor, Cheregei, knows about the incident. And we are saying, Mr. Speaker, it cannot be that only one side of the county is getting involved in all this. Even in Kakamega, there is a boundary between Nandi and Kakamega, somewhere around Malava there. We had such an incident some years back. Mr. Speaker, I think a solution needs to be found.
Senator
and that's why leaders need
Senator,
to get a solution to this matter.
Senator Osotsi, one moment. What is your point of order? Can you give him the mic?
Which one? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and control a class like Senator Eddy. Mr. Speaker, understanding 110, is it in order for my good neighbor, Senator Godfrey Osotsi, to try to profile Nandi County? That we are like, because you have seen he is trying to draw incidences, and this is a parliament of the Republic of Kenya. This is not a political rally in somewhere in Vega, Mr. Speaker. Is it in order to allow him to profile my county? He can say that during the weekend in funerals and baby showers and other places, but not in this when I'm here, Mr. Speaker. We are peace-loving people from Nandi, Mr. Speaker. Is it not under Article Understanding Order 110 to try and impute improper conduct about my people in Nandi County, and you have heard Senator Kalwale has celebrated the great people of Nandi? Is it in order, Mr. Speaker?
Senator Cherargei, could you please withdraw uncontrolled heckler when you refer to Senator Eddy? Because it's unparliamentary and we don't want it on the Hansard.
Mr. Speaker, I withdraw, but I will call him when we go for political rallies over the weekend.
Thank you. Point of order on who? There's nobody on the floor. Senator, there's nobody on the floor. What is your point of order, Majority Whip?
One of 5 to challenge Senator Osotsi to produce in this House a record of any tribal clashes between Kakamega and Nandi along our common border. Mr. Speaker, we cannot allow this because Nandis every Thursday, every Thursday, like today, they drive their animals on foot to a place called Lubao. We buy their animals. They go home with cash, with the border, and for over 100 years, they have never been robbed, Mr. Speaker. Is the senator in order to come and use this floor to incite the people of Kakamega against the people of Nandi? Even if you are defending your political interests, do not use the blood of our people to advance your ambitions. And I warn you as an elder brother, lawyers, we do not incite people to kill each other. Never. Never.
Senator Osotsi.
Mr. Speaker, I think you have to protect us from the politics. We want to address this issue. I was giving incidences that has happened. And one of the incidences I gave is between the skirmishes in the boundary between Aldai and Vihiga County. And this is there. I was simply documenting the incidences.
On the issue,
and there's nothing wrong about that.
Senator
and
Osotsi.
my people have lost, the people of that area, their houses have been burnt, their animals have been burnt, and it's very unfair that I stand here to defend my people and I'm being accused of being a tribalist. Mr. Speaker, we cannot get a solution to this problem if we don't discuss it.
Senator Osotsi, did you refer to clashes between Kakamega and Nandi counties?
I remember I started by saying there was a peace accord I started by saying there was a peace accord in September 2020 between the governors of the Lake region. And one of the issues that was dealt with was the boundary clashes. And I was giving examples of areas where we have boundaries. So, Mr. Speaker, I think it's unfair for these two senators to waste my time. Through frivolous point of orders, allow me to bring home my point.
Senator,
that we need a solution to this problem, Mr. Speaker.
Order, senators. Order, senators. I think we are degenerating to quarreling instead of debating, senators. And I think I made it very clear that when we are making our statements and prosecuting our argument, that we should refrain from making any inciting statements or statements that can be perceived to be aiming on a certain political class or communities. So, Senator Osotsi, can I conclude? Senator Cherargei, let me put an end to this. Senator Osotsi, with the little time you're left with, could you please prosecute your point without making any reference to any communities or counties? Please, we are trying to find a solution.
Mr. Speaker, I am simply saying, because I made reference to that peace accord signed by governors of the Lake region, I would say as part of the solution, they need to go back, leaders, to that agreement, what they agreed, and maybe that could be the basis.
Senator Cherargei, what is your point of order?
Well, Mr. Speaker, standing order number 105 and 110. Mr. Speaker, can I be heard, Mr. Speaker? Standing order number 105, 110. Mr. Speaker, is it in order for my great brother to incite the people of Aldai and Viga? Is it in order by alleging and stating as a matter of fact on the floor of the House that there is border clashes between Serem, which is in Aldai, and Viga, yet it is not recorded anywhere in police station? Is it in order, Mr. Speaker? Because I shudder. I don't want to leave this house today at 6:30 when we have left people who live in Serem and Viga. Mr. Speaker, can you withdraw and apologize? And I withdraw, Mr. Speaker, when I made reference to communities. Can you withdraw and apologize?
Senator Osotsi, are you able
Mr.
to
Speaker,
just one moment, are you able to substantiate the
Mr.
clashes
Speaker.
between Eldai and
Mr.
Eldai and
Speaker,
Vihiga?
you know when you are not absent in your county, you have problems like Cherargei. I am absent. I am present in my county, and I know every corner of my county. There were clashes in Aldai, near the boundary with Vihiga, near Serem. And animals were burnt,
Senator Osotsi,
houses were burnt, and I want to go on record that is the true position, and if asked to substantiate, I am ready to substantiate. Yeah, I'm ready to substantiate. We cannot be intimidated when we are contributing on
Senator Osotsi, you have stated here that you're able to substantiate the clashes in Aldai and Vihiga. So I will direct you to do so in the next sitting.
Mr. Speaker, I am ready to substantiate any time you ask me to do that.
Next sitting also.
Because this is the truth, and however much
you don't, Osotsi, you don't have the mic. You will be found to be out of order. Senator Mohammed Chute.
Asanti. Mheshimiwa Spika, tafadhali Cherargei awache kupiga kelele.
Tafadhali Senator Cherargei, wacha tumsikize Senator Chute kwa umakini.
Mheshimiwa Spika, Cherargei anacheka. Leo kuna familia wamekosa watoto, baba, mama, mandugu. Mheshimiwa Spika, mimi nimetoka Marsabit. Na mimi najua ile uchungu ya mzazi ama ndugu ama dada ama mama ako nayo wakati mtu wake ameuawa. Hapa hakuna kitu ya kucheka. Ni maneno ambaye inaumiza watu wengi sana. Mheshimiwa Spika, wiki mbili iliyopita nilienda na timu yangu ya cohesion mahali inaitwa Baragoi. Mahali watu wengi wameuawa. Na watu Baragoi wakasimama wakasema tumepoteza watu wengi sana. Na tangu President Ruto ameingia tumepata nafuu. Na wakasema kuna watu wanaitwa Wajakoya wamefika huko wakaokoa maisha ya watu yetu. Mimi nikauliza watu wanaitwa Wajakoya ni nani? Nikaambia Wajakoya ni askari jeshi ambaye Rais Ruto alipeleka kule Samburu mahali inaitwa Baragoi. Watu wameanza kupata maisha mzuri, kulala vizuri. Kwa hivyo mimi siwezi kubali mtu yoyote akisema hii shida imeletwa president hajashughulika. Nataka kusema hivi, Marsabit mahali ambaye nimetoka tulikuwa na shida kubwa sana. Na Mheshimiwa Spika, Sondu watu 7 wamefariki. Kweli hiyo sio mambo rahisi. Na nimesema mbeleni. Nataka kusema pole kwa familia hiyo. Lakini ukiangalia Kenya, mahali kama Marsabit, watu wamekufa watu wengi sana. Zaidi ya watu 500. Wako na watoto, wako na baba, mama na family kubwa sana. Na ningependa kusema hivi bwana Spika. Kindiki alipunguza shida ya Marsabit. Tumebakisha leo shida ile iko ndani ya Marsabit ni Marsabit town headquarter mahali inaitwa Saku. Maduka ndio yanavunjwa. Lakini ile mambo ya watu kuuana vile walikuwa na zamani imeisha na tunashukuru Mwenyezi Mungu. Mheshimiwa Speaker, mambo ya security.
Senator Mohamed Chute, would you like to be informed by Senator Eddy?
Hapana. Mambo ya security, ukisikia mtu ametoka Turkana na Marsabit, muje muulize. Mheshimiwa Speaker, kuna watu wanasema wakora wajulikani mahali walitoka. Hakuna mkora amezaliwa hana baba na mama. Na ametoka kutoka village inajulikana. Kwa hivyo ukiona mkora ati mtu amekuja kuua watu unasemekana mkora, ile mkora tunajua ni ile iko Nairobi, ile watu nashika watu wananyang'anya watu. Lakini kwetu tunajua mkora ametoka wapi, mama yake ni nani, baba yake ni nani, hata klani yake na kabila yake tunajua. Kwa hivyo watu wasikuje mbele ya Senate hapa bunge waseme ati wakora ni kina nani. Hapana, tuambiane ukweli. Bwana Speaker, kama sisi tunataka nchi ifaulu, watu wafaulu, shida ile iko ndani ya Sondu sahi itatuliwa haraka kabisa, kwa sababu itaendelea, itafika mambo kama Marsabit watu 500 wanakufa. Ningependa mandugu zetu wako hapa masenators, tafadhali sana msiwe na hasira kwa roho yenu mpaka inaingia shida watu wataenda kuuana. Tafadhali sana, sisi ndio tunajua ile shida ya watu kukosana iko. Mvumilie, muhakikishe. Na nataka kuomba serikali ichukue hatua kali kabisa kwa wale watu leo wameua watu, kwa sababu wasipochukua hiyo hatua wengine watakufa. Na responsibility ya serikali ni kuchunga maisha na mali ya wananchi ya Kenya. Iko katika constitution hiyo. Kwa hivyo Mheshimiwa Speaker, nikimaliza nataka kusema hivi, kuna kitu inaitwa blame game, Senator,
wakati Inakwisha. Senator James Murango.
Asante sana mstahiki Speaker. Niseme ya kwamba leo ni siku ya huzuni, kwa sababu kama kuna siku ambayo tunafaa kuwa tumeungana tukijadili maneno, ni siku ya leo. Kifo si kitu ya kutaniana. Mstahiki Speaker, nimetoka Kirinyaga ambako nimezika watoto zaidi ya 15 sahihi ambao wamekuwa wakifanya kazi katika vyombo vya usalama kwa sababu ya michafuko. Na ndio nasema ya kwamba huu ni kama mtego wa panya, unaingia waliokuwemo na wasiokuwemo. Kwa hivyo tunapoongea mambo ya usalama, Sondu, Turkana, Marsabit, wapi, ni vizuri tuongee tukijua ya kwamba jambo hili tunahusika zote na linaweza kutupata. Mstahiki Speaker, juzi pia nimekuwa Turkana. Na jana nimekuwa Migori na Senator Ende. Na niseme ya kwamba wakati tulikuwa Turkana pia tuliweza kutembea sehemu za Katilu irrigation scheme na tukaenda mpaka pia Turkana. Katilu, mahali kuna uwezo wa kuzalisha chakula ambao inaweza patia chakula nchi nzima, haiwezekani kwa sababu ya shinda usalama. Wawekezaji ambao wanaweza leta na kuwekeza katika mipango tofauti ya maendeleo hawezi fika mahali pale. Na nasikia watu wakiongea mambo mingi, lakini pia ningetaka niseme ya kwamba wakati niliangalia Turkana pia mimi nilijawa na huzuni. Ukiangalia upande wa Sudan kuko na Toposa, upande wa Uganda kuko na Karamajong, upande wa Ethiopia wako na Oromo. Lakini wakati kuna kuanga na mauaji tunakimbia sana kusema ni hawa wanaua. Mimi Mstahiki Speaker, sijaona watu wako na amani kama wale wakati nilienda pale. Lakini pia Mswahili anasema ukiona manyoya ujue imeliwa. Haiwezekani ya kwamba usikie Marsabit wanalia, Turkana wanalia, Samburu wanalia, kwingineko wanalia. Lazima uangalie pia kwani ni nani, ni kiungo gani ya kikosi. Hii ni kama chumvi. Kila chakula unapatikana ndani. Itaonyeshana kwamba kuko na shida mahali ambao mpaka tuangalie na tutatue, kwa sababu shida zimekuwa mingi. Nilipokuwa mahali pale Katilu, Mstahiki Speaker, kwa sababu nilikuwa katika mahali ambapo nilikuwa naambiwa ni mahali pa hatari. Singesema kwa sababu tulikuwa na kikosi kubwa sana cha usalama. Lakini wakulima ambao wako kule hawana bunduki na hawana usalama. Tunatarajia vipi wale watu watasalisha kivipi kama hawana usalama wa kutosha? Na nikiongezea niseme ya kwamba mambo ya Sondu, kuna serikali ambayo iko kwa mamlaka. Na kama kuna serikali ambayo iko kwa mamlaka, kama wale wanafanya kazi vyombo vya usalama katika sehemu ile, kwa sababu nimesikia hiyo mitafaruku ilianza kitambo wakati wa Moi. Kama hawezi kufanya kazi, wanafaa waondoke, kwa sababu kuna swali moja. Kama hatuwezi malizana na shida za Sondu, tutawezaje kumalizana na shida za wale wako na mabunduki kule Haiti? Sini kwanza tugange ya kwetu kwanza kabla tujaenda nje. Kwa hivyo mimi ningehimiza ya kwamba tukijadili maneno kama haya, tuwe pia na tushikane pamoja, tuongee, tutatue, kwa sababu hii Kenya yote ni yetu. Juzi nilipokuwa Migori tulienda pale kwa na Senator Ende katika pale migondi ya kuchimba mandini. Bado nilikuwa nasikia watu wengine wanaongea lugha ya Kimeru huko ndani, Kikuyu kwa umbali, kusema ya kwamba kila mahali watu wote ni wetu. Na tunapoongea mambo ya taarifa, tujue ya kwamba yenye tuko nayo moyoni sasa, kama mimi nikiwa ni kiongozi, kuna kiongozi wa sehemu ile pia ako na yake. Kwa hivyo tukiongea tuchunge, tusiongee maneno ambayo inaweza chochea chuki zaidi na kuleta mauaji. Asante sana Mstahiki Speaker.
Asante Senator. Senator Enoch Wambua.
I thank you, the Speaker. The Speaker, I don't know actually how much time do I have? Is it 5 minutes? 5 minutes, okay, thank you. So, the Speaker, I want to first begin by thanking Senators Eddy and Mudigi for bringing up this matter. The spirit in which they brought this matter, I would have expected that the spirit would carry the debate. That it's very bipartisan. It doesn't matter who is falling where. We just debate this matter and find a solution. Mr. Speaker, I will say only two things. One, death is final. And when people die because they have been killed by other people, then it doesn't matter the tribe, it doesn't matter the location, it doesn't matter who the leader in that area is and who is not a leader. The only thing that matters is a person has killed another person. The Speaker, as a country, we belong to the community of civilized states. As a nation, as a democracy. It is actually a big shame to all of us, and I'm not exempting myself, it's really a big shame that one, we can be debating tribal clashes at a time like this. 60 years after independence, Kenya can comfortably debate tribal clashes. And secondly, it's a shame on us that we would take sides in that debate. The Speaker, in Sondu, I saw photos yesterday being shared in social media. From those photos, Senator Boni Alwale, it is impossible for anyone to say which tribe has been killed here.